almost all of Evil Dead is a comedy except the new shit, which is why I have a problem where I'm just like, just call it somebody else. I want to see it. I just don't want it to be an Evil Dead movie. Just call it a different movie.
Yeah, welcome to my Star Wars sequels.
I know.
I do appreciate that this movie, not only was it like a Patreonicals episode, it also featured a character with telekinesis. And I was like, here for it.
Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. But this week, we have a very special guest. It's Friday the 13th. Why am I doing the regular intro on Friday the 13th? Guys, it's Friday the 13th.
I don't know why you feel like you need to tell people why we watched what we watched. If we hadn't watched it, we would have gotten emails.
Exactly. Well, like we did last time.
People want Jonathan on this podcast.
Well, I was about to say we have a guest joining us, but I feel like if we're doing Friday the 13th, it's not really a guest. You guys know it's Jonathan. Jonathan's going to be here.
And he has repeatedly said he will not guest on this podcast unless it's Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I've said that so many. That's all I ever say.
Begged him
they
to come on
ask
for
me every
other
week
ones.
if I will be on. I'm like, no. I'm not talking about Leprechaun in the Hood. No interest.
Oh, it was on TV the other day, and I was like, I forgot how many people get killed with bongs in this movie.
I would be on as much as you guys wanted me, but no, I thank you for. I love talking about the Friday the 13th movies, so.
Especially now that they're into the crazy ones.
Oh, and this movie is insane, Paige.
What are you talking about? This is the most accurate representation of mental health treatment that's ever been in the health.
I thought that was part 5.
I forgot how bad part 5 was.
Part 5, aka the best movie of the 80s, according to Mikey.
Yeah.
According to Mikey.
It still is.
I'm going to argue 6, because since we watched 6 last time, it has been on TV. I have willingly just watched it on my own a bunch. I was like, I think 6 might be my favorite. 6 is great.
Oh, it's the best Friday the 13th. It's it feels the most like a movie.
I will stand by that Friday the 13th is my favorite 80s horror franchise.
Oh, see, I edge it to Nightmare, but I do love me some Friday the 13th. I had a good time today.
It might be mine too, Mikey, because it's there's not one entry as good as the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But it is so consistently what it is.
Yes.
It's just...
It knows what it is.
Yeah.
It goes for it. And they're like, this time, psych it, lady. Go for it.
The bad Nightmare on Elm Street movies are boring. They're really hard to watch. Whereas the bad Friday the 13th films sometimes are more fun to watch than the good ones. So.
Yeah, and he doesn't have an MO or anything. He just wakes up. He's like, I'll just murder the first 15 to 30 people that I can find.
15 to 30?
And he stocked all these weapons in the woods, too, for whenever he gets risen from the water. He was ready to go.
Jonathan, he is just trying to garden, and really landscape that Crystal Lake there because it's really fallen in disarray.
Do we know what that saw thing is? Do we know what that is?
I think it's like a industrial strength weed whacker or whatever.
Yeah, it's a weed whacker with a saw blade attached to it. And when I raised alarm about this in my living room earlier today, it was just like, what the fuck? Is that just a weed whacker with a saw blade? My husband was like, you got to clear brush sometimes.
It's a type of weed whacker, but it's like a brush clearer. So it's thicker weed.
Yeah, that's what Jake said. And he's like, it's not OSHA approved, but sometimes you just got to attach saw blades to stuff. And I was like, that's terrifying.
If I saw my neighbor with that, I'm moving.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
And you can tell in this movie it's very dangerous because in the scene where he's chasing after him, he's not anywhere close to anybody except for the camera, right? And then instead of using it on him as he catches him, he puts it down to his side and just punches him so he can land on the ground and they can two-shot it so it's never actually close to somebody.
So he just clears the brush on his chest.
Freddy's the more vocal, but I really think Jason enjoys killing more than any other of these iconic characters because he will just put down a weapon and be like, I just want to punch this guy really fucking hard.
Through his back.
Yeah.
Through his back. He punches through a guy in this movie.
I know.
This movie also has my favorite Friday the 13th kill of all time. Well,
really?
Tied for first.
A lot of people's favorites in this.
Yeah, a lot of people's favorite. It is the sleeping bag kill. It is hilarious.
Oh my God. Paige, I was laying in bed watching this movie and I got up and stood up when that happened. I was like, what is happening? It was amazing.
The only one that might be better than that is in Jason X is the one in space,
Yeah,
right?
where they freeze the person's head.
Yeah, with the dry ice and yeah.
I've never seen that, but that was also Clint's favorite kill, if you guys are completionists and have heard the earlier episode.
You're a completionist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one. But Sleeping Bag gets me every
It
time
was so
because
funny.
the Foley on it is amazing too.
I think Jason is such a wasted franchise modern day. Like, you could put it in any situation. You could just drop Jason in any situation and it would make
you
a
could
great
like
film.
drop him into New York, or really just like a cruise ship.
Like the next one.
No. Think like Ukraine.
Oh my God.
Ukraine
Yeah.
fighting on the side of Ukraine? I'm here for that.
Just wandering around the Ukraine woods punching people through the chest. Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, Jason holds no political allegiances, so
Yeah.
he's just killing anybody.
Think about a Ukraine drone dropping a grenade on Jason and then coming to still coming.
You just see like in the drone footage, like an explosion, and out of the explosion, you see his machete like shooting towards the camera.
Yeah.
See, velociraptors would not make good weapons in war, but
happening?
you could clone Jason's.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Now we're back to Mikey's favorite, cloning.
It makes more sense than Jurassic Park. This man is correct.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know. Neither one are good ideas, but
I'm here for kind of like what Prey did, where the Predator killed all those French trappers.
Yes.
Like, the Predator has his own agenda, but sometimes he's on the right side of history. I'd be here for a Jason version of that, where he's our unlikely hero. Where, like, we dropped him in a concentration camp and now all the Nazis are dead. Like, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Jason
Yeah.
versus the Nazis? That's a film I'm here for.
I am here for Jason versus Nazis. Modern day Nazis, like, drop Jason in a white supremacist compound. Let's do this shit.
Yeah, just drop him into Santee, California.
Yeah.
No. Picture Jason, and this is timely. Camera pans out. It's January 6th. As he marches through murdering people in the Capitol. Doesn't matter their affiliation. It's like he's fighting Secret Service. He's fighting like rioters.
yeah.
Everybody. Here's what's terrible. It is January 5th right now. We are on the eve of the second anniversary.
but seriously, Jason's conservative though, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
I feel like with his build and lack of communication skills, yes.
Well, he hates sex ed for sure.
He hates sex.
he came into his prime during the Reagan era. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's always killing teens because they don't want to work.
And Swamp Jason is one of my favorite Jasons.
Like Zombie Swamp Jason, which is basically
I'm
what we
sorry.
have.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I really love, and Paige, you didn't say this, but like Boomer Jason, like that made my day when you said,
Hey, they didn't rescue him from the lake because they didn't want to fucking work. They were supposed to be lifeguards.
That's
Yeah.
how amazing this character is. You can think of the most awful things that have happened in modern lately. Drop him in it, and it's hilarious.
Oh, Jason in the LA riots?
100%, Paige.
Like, bring it on.
I do want to
God, that'd be
see
amazing.
Jason versus democracy. Like that to me would be funny. I would love to see that. You know, Jason's walking up towards the Capitol. No one's going to end up happy.
There's some great Friday the 13th fan films, but no one has taken that route where it's basically Jason is the purge. But I would watch that.
Let me see if I can get us access to the Capitol. I know a guy.
So good. Oh my God. Then we'll get called into the hearings and they'll be like, when you were making your documentary?
When you were making Jason versus democracy.
Democracy?
This is a January 6th documentary. That's what we're doing. Excuse us.
Friday the 13th, part 1776.
Well, think about it. Okay, picture this. It's a cocaine farm. It's in Colombia. There's the cartel everywhere.
Oh, Jason versus the cartel?
Yes!
Yeah, because that's pretty much like Predator Jason, but instead of it being a predator, you're like fighting drug lords.
yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I want it like, you know how Prey had the Comanche cut?
Yeah.
I want Jason versus the cartel entirely in Spanish.
Oh,
No English at all.
I mean, if you look at this movie as a template, it's clear that the script is like optional in all of it. It's
Oh.
like,
Yeah, you don't need language in a Friday the 13th movie.
when they were walking around, like, have you seen David? I was like, who the fuck is David? Like, which one of these
I could not
dudes
remember which
is
one was David.
My favorite part of this film is that they literally kill people off in like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they make those people film like 9 more scenes. Like Michael is stuck between those two trees for like 30 scenes.
He was also the makeup artist. One of the makeup artists on this film.
That's a fun fact.
That's great.
Also, Bernie Lomax As the psychiatrist?
Yeah, he deserves to get killed or whatever happens in Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah.
This was pre-Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is the year before, because the next year they tied Bernie down to the bottom of the lake and made him stay there. I will say, while watching this in the first couple minutes, because I had forgotten that they put Jason at the bottom of the lake, I messaged Gabe, who made Mikey's catter puppy.
He made my catter puppy as well.
Yeah, Gabe, who made both of your catter puppies
Thank you.
and sent me all of the prints of the Thing done as Rankin Bass characters.
Oh.
Love it.
So great.
And I told him, I was like, hey, dude, you need to make Jason chained to a rock for fish tanks. Just like, instead of a castle or coral, just like.
I think they make that, yeah.
Didn't they put a statue at a Minnesota lake?
They did.
Do
Like
they
a
really?
legit statue, yeah.
I would never go near that lake. I'd never.
No, because why fuck with it? Lightning touches lakes all the time.
And it turns statues into humans. We know this for a fact.
Does Tommy Jarvis come back?
No, hottie Tommy Jarvis doesn't come back.
In any more of the sequels, he doesn't come back?
No.
He doesn't come back, but he comes back in the fan film Never Hike Alone, which personally I think is my favorite Friday
I've heard it's good.
fan film. It's really good.
I think that's the only one I've seen. It's fun.
Now, I think this is correct, but Jonathan, you're sort of a Friday the 13th expert, so like you correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the only Friday the 13th movie where Jason is essentially chasing around a woman who was way more powerful than he is?
Yes.
Kind of. He does go up against like androids and stuff and Jason X, but human woman with other
Right.
ability. Yes.
Okay.
Jason X is in the far future.
Right, in space.
Yeah, because what happened is he like left the Nostromo and like he just missed the interplanetary core and was just adrift for X number of years. For Jason X number of years.
He's the one who killed Hicks and Newt.
I'm going to ask Jonathan about this. Jonathan, I had a theory about aliens.
No,
and
we
alien.
cannot relitigate this. We cannot relitigate this.
About what?
James Cameron has women pilot different things and they all crash. Is he trying to say something?
I don't know. That's interesting though. I never thought about that.
See, I'm bringing up the questions that matter.
Us litigating this last night during the Aliens episode resulted in Mikey yelling for her long-form driver's license. And that to me was one of the funniest things. I've been laughing about that for like a day. It's so dumb.
I was like, what happened to the escape pod? It missed the lane. It kept going.
But he did. But Sarah Connor doesn't.
No, we talked about this because she unfortunately lets Reese drive, who doesn't have a driver's license and has never driven outside of like Mad Max rules. So he's a terrible driver.
Paige, traditionally, the man should drive, you know?
Oh my God. We
fuck you.
cannot relitigate this. But I
No.
mean,
Not
Paige,
doing
let me
this.
ask you this though. If 80s Kyle Reese was like, hey, let me drive, would you say no to that request?
No, not at all.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say no to many requests from 80s Kyle Reese. It's fine.
What's the main character's name? What's her name? Tina?
Yes, in this movie, it's Tina.
I like me some Tina, man. She's like, a guy who likes me? Is he a delusion? Is he a real guy?
How old is she supposed to be though?
She's supposed to be 18 and the actress is 26.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, she looks 26. Like she. Like,
They all look varying shades of 30.
I thought she was supposed to be like 16, so that was kind of bothering me with the people next door. I was like, that's weird. That like maybe
Yeah.
so 18 makes a little more sense. And I guess they're all supposed to be like college age.
Yeah, they're all supposed to be like 18, 19 was
Yeah.
what everyone was supposed to be. I want to say that aside from Nick, none of the boys or men really in this movie should ever get laid again. They're all terrible. Like they're always just like leaving bed to go get food and not bringing any back. Like just the worst sex etiquette.
Yeah, that's terrible. I would never do that. Did you make a full quesadilla and not bring me one?
You were gone for 30 minutes.
Movies for the majority of the time though don't get stoners correctly, and I've
No.
and there's so many drugs in Hollywood. Like, how do you not know how to paint but I guess they always want to go for that funny. Well, especially
Yeah.
now, post Silent Bob and Jay, it's turned
Right.
into that. But
Yeah.
but this is pre that. I don't know. It just always
Yeah.
seems weird to me. It's like you can't make a convincing stoner in a Friday the 13th film.
I know. Well, and they paint them as drunk instead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not the same. Like
No.
it's, you know,
It's not the same, although I've never had alcohol.
That's what I hear. I mean,
Yeah.
or so I've been told.
It's reefer madness.
That's how that one girl ends up getting thrown out that window. which also, by the way, happens in Reefer Madness. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
it does.
You know who hates reefer and alcohol?
Jason?
Trumpist Jason. Make America gory again.
Oh!
Oh, I can't believe someone hasn't done that yet. You need to trademark that.
I have a new shirt idea, guys.
Yeah.
We got to throw these lefty drug addicts out the window. Freewheeling sex teens.
I'm really proud of Jason though, because he like drowned in the last film and stayed there for many years, and then he immediately drowns a person to really confront his PTSD. Not unlike Ripley and Aliens.
Yeah, these are two equally important films, I think is what you're saying. And I
Yeah.
think I agree with you.
It's just about time the male perspective was shown, you know?
No.
Yeah.
Crystal Lake's really murky, which I really hate as a misnomer.
Well, because they keep filming in different places. Wasn't this like Louisiana? Is that right?
It did
Yeah.
look like a swamp. the whole
It did look
they
like
had
the
a-
bayou.
She's like, let's skinny dip. I was like, no, don't.
I think I remember reading in the past they had a guy on set that was just like killing alligators. 'Cause
Oh,
they just-
I have that as a fun fact.
okay,
Yes.
cool.
God.
Yeah.
What?
Do you want to wait until fun facts or do you want to hear about it now?
No, tell me
Now.
now. Tell me now.
Now.
I got to know about Gator Hunting Joe.
Yeah, Jonathan's a mature adult. We're not.
Yeah, I know.
Mikey and I lack impulse control.
But if you have to hire a guy to do that, that means there are too many alligators around.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the thing.
Especially in a movie that features like people going into the water for various reasons.
Yeah, I would be
Yeah.
like, hell no. I will take my Chuck E. Cheese coupon or whatever you're paying me in, and I will leave. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. It's there are a lot of fun facts for this, and I had to scroll.
Not at all surprised, but very excited.
Okay, so during the filming of this movie, they hired a man named Leslie Busby.
Leslie Busby?
Leslie Busby.
I love that.
Who was, quote, the local gator man. That was his job. And they hired him to be the alligator wrangler to keep gators away from the actors. So like whenever they're filming in the water, he would just be in the water like, come on gators. However, they filmed most of this in the winter, and alligators are not active in the winter. They mostly kind of hibernate, or a
Mostly.
version of hibernate. And they filmed mostly.
Thank you. Thank
They
you for hearing
filmed
that.
in October and November of 1987.
Sorry, we just recorded Aliens last night. I apologize. It's still very
just
fresh in the
last
brain.
night. So because they filmed in October and November, they ended up paying him to do nothing but just watch the lake for the entire production. He never got one gator.
I am so glad that the kill count for this movie includes 0 gators.
Here's the sad part. They did not include a kill count for this movie. They included a kill count for City of Angels. They could not find a definitive one for this movie. I'm sure you could just count if you wanted to, but the fact that they like front and center for City of Angels, they were like kill count of 3.
And I love that this, I think, is the first movie that features the first kill is actually not Jason killing them. It's Tina.
Oh yeah.
It's your final girl. Yeah.
I like when at one point she says, I feel like it was my fault. It's like, it 100% was your fault. Like,
Yeah. I may not place blame on her
Yeah.
because I'm not sure she knew how to control what she was doing. But yes.
Why was he mad at her?
Oh, he wasn't mad at her. He was beating the mother. So she ran out and got in the boat and got
Yeah.
onto the lake. So she could
he's
be
not
safe.
a good guy.
No,
But this-
no. I didn't mean it that way. I'm just saying, but
Oh.
she absolutely did kill him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not saying he didn't deserve it, but we're
No.
saying
Yeah.
he got it.
Yeah.
You can't prove it. That dock fell.
It's going to be hard to prove.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, DA of wherever in Louisiana we're filming this.
Bon
Sometimes docks have their own personal earthquakes.
By the way, when he comes out of the water to get Jason, it looks like he's been under the water for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Not even.
Yeah.
He's like smudged some mud on his face, and he's like, come on, Jason.
I mean, and we have to address that makes her a necromancer, but whatever. Go ahead.
I have a fun fact about this. He was intended to be completely clean, but he slipped on the way down.
He accidentally ran into the gator man underwater and,
Damn it, bugs me.
damn it.
I don't think he was real. I think she just manifests her internal issues and they come to life.
I have to tell you this, and this is the same thing that happened with Orphan. In Orphan, I was trying to like guess the turn or whatever the whole movie, and I like guessed the craziest thing I could think of, and I did it again in this one. As she walks out to the dock, I was like, there's no way.
It's going to be her dad.
Yeah, I was like, it's definitely going to be her dad that kills Jason, right? And it totally fucking was, and I got mad at myself. I was like, I ruined that for me.
I laughed my ass off.
I mean, I laughed a lot too.
I don't know if they intended it this way, but it is kind of interesting that that's been a last scene theme in past movies where somebody jumps out of the water.
Yeah.
And yes.
And so this time it was actually somebody saving them. I don't know.
I mean, I like that.
Yeah, her daddy issues manifested and killed Jason.
Also, the young Tina, she looked so much like Carol Ann. That had to be on purpose. Like,
Oh, she looked
like
a
you
lot like Carol Ann from Poltergeist.
this was the first, Poltergeist. This was the first Friday the 13th I saw in the theater. I was
wow.
11, no, it was 88. I was 12. And I remember at the time, when I got older and watched this again, I thought it was the actress that played Carol Ann for the longest time.
Until you learn what happened to the actress who played
Yes.
Carol Ann, which is super
Which
sad.
was that same
I can
year,
understand.
right?
Yeah, it was that
'Cause
same year. Yeah.
Poltergeist 3 came out that year too, so.
Yeah, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
wasn't able to finish filming it. Yeah.
So sad. They should have just moved those graves, honestly.
Going back quickly to your mostly comment.
Mostly.
There is not a single character in this movie as annoying as Newt, so I'll give it that much credit.
Well, Jonathan, you see, Newt actually brought the
No,
aliens
Mikey,
on purpose
don't
to
do
Hadley
this.
Hope to murder the colonists
Last
because
night
they were
was
bullying her.
wild, Jonathan.
That would make her more interesting if that was true.
It would make her more interesting.
I have no problems with Newt. Aliens is a near perfect film, and I will not hear it slandered.
No, Aliens is amazing. I still prefer the first one, but Aliens is it's one of the best sequels ever. I mean,
Yeah, it's so
it's
good.
incredible. Do you prefer Newt over Jinxie?
Jonesy?
Jonesy, Jinxie. What the who's hell? Jinxie?
I see Newt and Jonesy on equal footing because
Yeah.
to be honest, I feel like they serve a lot of the same purpose because like in the first movie when she's like getting out of there and you're like, where's she going? Like my dad and mom saw the first one in theaters, and as she turned around to go back and get Jonesy, somebody in the theater is like, where's she going? And then another person in the theater yelled, she's going back for the fucking cat. So like, I feel kind of the same because that's
Awesome.
kind of what she does for Newt.
That's exactly what she does for Newt.
Yeah, but that interaction is where we get the phrase save the cat from. So
Yeah.
like it's
Interesting.
it's a huge thing in filmmaking and screenwriting to like you can't kill cats. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I see them pretty equal, honestly. I think Jonesy's cute though.
Love Jonesy. Well, do you guys want to get into the movie so we can go through it scene by scene?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So we open with the Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 treatment of just rehashing the old movies and trailers to bring us up to speed.
I appreciate this in a franchise of this nature.
I was going to say the same thing. I remembered absolutely zero from 6.
Yeah. I had recently watched 6, so I
Okay.
was just like, I don't need this, but whatever.
I was blown away that during this recap, which doesn't take 30 minutes like it does in Silent Night, Deadly Night 2,
Yeah, it's like 30 seconds. Yeah.
it's like showing the credits during this recap too. And I was like, oh my God, it took 2 people to write this?
I have fun facts about that because one person wrote it and then some back scene shenanigans went on and then another person got credit for the second half. We will talk about it in fun facts.
Okay.
I do like, because we get a recap of a bunch of kills, and the shots that they pull for this are kind of hilarious, where they pull like, him getting electrocuted in the grave and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then they've also just got a brief cutaway shot of that one kid in a wheelchair falling down the stairs. And I was like,
from 2 different angles.
from 2 different angles.
So funny.
Anyway, he keeps coming back. Lightning. Now we're into the actual movie. And we do have to sit through a handful of credits just on a black screen.
Yeah.
Where they just like didn't quite time it right, which was kind of funny. But then we open on the dock where Tina has run outside and her dad yells at her to come back inside. But we kind of overhear from inside the house that he has been unfortunately hitting her mom.
Yeah, I think Tina actually says, like, you hit mom, you said you never hit mom again, something like that.
Yeah, but if you guys watch the extended edition, Tina just walked on them having sex but didn't know what it was.
Oh, no.
It's just
This is a wildly weird take.
You cannot rewrite, like, no, Mikey. We also know that he has a problem with alcohol because we hear her mom yelling about it.
Well, I think that Tina knows how to run to the boat and then unhook it from the dock and like push it out or whatever. She knows how to do that because, exactly. This is a common occurrence.
Yes. And she is screaming at him that she hates him. She wants him to die. Suddenly we hear the water bubble and we watch as the dock that he's standing on collapses into the water, knocking him unconscious underwater. Essentially killing him.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at least like knocking him out underwater, which kills you more or less, because like the wife that you were just beating and daughter don't want to try and save you.
Yeah.
She couldn't pull him up.
The mom could have.
Not with that mullet.
Not with that mullet. There's a beam over him, so I don't think they could have.
Oh, like it like broke his neck or something, like just killed him.
Or they would have to lift things off of him that they probably could not do in time for him to be saved.
I don't remember. Do we see that Jason's already in the lake at that point?
We see it before.
Okay, so he is already like. So this movie takes place in 2015, then I guess, right?
Oh, so according to the director of this film, it's been 10 years since the last one.
So like 96?
Wow.
Yeah, which also took place in the future as well.
Yeah.
Even though the following one, the next one, Jason Takes Manhattan, does not take place in the future, the timeline's a little fucky.
But also, Paige, doesn't take place in Manhattan from what I hear. I can't wait to see that movie.
It takes place mostly on a boat.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of hair metal in it, and that's cool.
I am here for it, yeah.
So we cut to the future where she and her mom are driving back to the cabin at the orders of the worst therapist on earth.
Oh, is that a therapist? I thought it was William Stryker from X2 trying to start like a...
He might as well be.
Right?
Just trying to test to see if she is an X-Man, because that's basically what it is.
Dr. Bernie Lomax is a professional. And if you guys really dedicated yourself to his treatment, maybe it would have worked.
Oh, wow.
It kind of makes me not like the mom because it's like, how do you not see that this guy is an asshole? Like,
well,
right.
While the daughter got a lot of mental health treatment after the abusive father died, unfortunately, I don't think the mom did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I feel this is horrible. I keep making fun of like a woman that was abused. I'm not trying to do that. I'm sorry.
No, but like people do get into patterns, you know.
I just like that guy. Like I just hope that if my wife and I had to send my daughter to therapy and it was like that guy, we'd know pretty quickly. Like, yeah, we need to change. Like, we need to.
Oh yeah, if he's like constantly trying to put your daughter into highly stressful situations in the hopes that she can control shit with her mind, yeah, you fire that therapist.
Like, I can't even figure out if the mom knows that she's telekinetic. Like, I can't even figure that out.
I mean, because for the first part of this movie, you don't even really think that he thinks she's telekinetic. Like, it sounds like he thinks she's making everything up, but then clearly he knows she's telekinetic. But then he's telling the mom that he's like, it's all part of the delusions and her guilt for it. Makes no sense.
I have another question because I think I missed something. He has a dossier on Jason, right? So was he trying to get her to murder Jason?
Here's the thing. It's unclear if that's his or her father's.
I thought it was her father's.
It's never identified. Yeah.
So, I mean, but it could be either way. I don't know what's right, but I read it as her father's.
A well-written movie would be like, he's one of the survivors of Crystal Lake, and that's why he drinks alcohol so much and like has so much
Oh, you mean her father?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, Mikey. Don't try and make this movie good. Don't ruin it for me.
But going back to the mom real quick, there's a scene where like, I can't remember what she breaks, but he's like, once again, he's like just totally like threatening her and yelling at the daughter, like right in front of the mom. And then like something breaks or something, like the fire shoots out or something. And the mom's just standing there
she
like,
breaks a picture behind his head.
That was interesting.
Yeah, it's a picture of her father on the mantle.
It cracks,
and she shatters it behind his head, and the mom's just like, weird coincidence.
But Paige, it's not as weird as the way that scene starts with Dr. Bernie Lomax with his head on his like fist and like elbow on the mantle, and through the hole that creates that triangle there, you see her dad's fucking face in that picture.
Yeah.
It is a wild shot.
It is crazy.
This is how people stand. It's totally normal.
It's totally
It's
normal.
wild. Like, what is happening?
It's his therapy stance. We've all got one.
It's his thinking posture.
I have a therapy like pose. Like you have to like get into it. Well, if you're a therapist, this is like a trade secret. Don't tell anybody. But I'll do a lot of this.
So he has his hand on his face, and he's like, he does look, honestly, about 90% more interested in what I'm saying.
It's the finger over the chin with the rest of the hand under.
That's not just to hide the birthmark?
No.
Okay.
They'll see that.
Here's my pose.
That's uncomfortable. You can't do that for a long period of time. Your arms get tired.
Oh, I only do 15-minute sessions. I don't play.
But really, he's the best psychiatrist.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, he's not a psychiatrist. He is starting a program of like special students.
He's here from the Avenger Initiative,
Yeah.
and he has not told them what's up yet. I also thought for sure he was banging the mom.
I thought he was going to try at least. I was
Yeah.
almost sure that at the end of this movie, Samuel L. Jackson was going to step in and recruit Tina.
Yeah, just like, now that you're an orphan, I'd like to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Well, yeah. We're trying to form a team. Are you interested?
You seem to like shouldery dudes with square jaws. Have I got a job for you? Anyway, so she arrives at the house, their old house. She sees the boat in the dock, and she like visibly is like, oh no. Because obviously re-traumatizing her is key to his whole thing. But as they're unloading the car, we meet the kids in the cabin next door.
By the way, none of these people are friends. There's no way.
No, they all met 20 minutes ago when they showed up to this Craigslist ad.
To shoot a porno like the movie X. Yeah.
Free barbecue.
Oh, man.
It's wild. And they're all varying, like the girls all look late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
But dressed to look like teenagers. And then aside from Nick, all the guys look like teenagers.
So it's a bunch of guys with a specific fetish. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's very.
We could just say it's the contestants of MILF Island, right? Like, we can just admit it, right?
Yeah, it's the contestants of MILF Island, but they look so much younger than them, like, and visibly so in some cases. And some of that is the 80s dressing, because like teenage girls in 80s movies dress like 30-year-old women. I don't know why, it's always a thing, but like it is just so disparate between them. At one point, my husband pointed out, like, it was after one of the sex scenes, he was like, the hell is he gonna do with those noodle arms? And I was like, yo. Like,
first off, sick burn.
sick burn.
Secondly, put the picture of Todd down.
Well, like, look what you can do with all of this. It's a lot of visual jokes for this episode.
I like the guy who's like, his parents own the place and he's like sleeping in the
Yes.
van. And he's like, why are we sleeping in the van? Like, that's actually a very good question. Like, why the fuck are you sleeping in the
That is a good question. The obvious rich kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young Dennis Reynolds?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that cabin wasn't that nice. Like, he's like,
Oh, but a small cabin's still like a second home.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah. Tell me how great your second home is, Jonathan.
How big does the cabin need to be for you to be happy about it?
I'm just saying, as nervous as he was getting about them making a mess, I was like, you're good. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. You can eat his Totino's party pizza. It'll
Yeah.
be fine.
I don't know if you know this, but this house is literally so shitty, the government in this area doesn't care if we explode it. So don't worry about it, all right?
Is that swamp gas?
It was moon refracting from Venus. And
Weather
Yeah.
balloon. Think about it. 1953, Roswell, New Mexico. The camera pans out. It's Jason.
Jason. That's why they only found dead grays, Mikey.
Just a bunch of grays with machetes in them.
But Paige, how badly do you want like a prey, but it's like your main character is Jason and he's hunting grays on Earth that have crashed.
Not opposed to it.
Hey, were we talking about the movie yet?
Oh, yeah.
We're like
we
two
were.
scenes in.
You were yelling at me about my second house.
That's right, Jonathan.
Which I don't own one.
Yeah. He hasn't found one big enough for him to purchase
Yeah.
currently.
I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know. It looked a little like less than.
I agree. He seemed like kind of a nerd for being mad about it.
He was rich in a small town, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
There
Yes.
you go. Yeah.
Big fish, little pond kind of guy.
But I was like, I don't know why you're sleeping in the van. I assume that was because that his girlfriend knew he would get all freaked out by the mess they were making. But I would be like, no, this is my uncle's cabin or whatever. I'm taking the main room.
I assumed privacy.
Oh, that too, maybe.
He was like, I want to see how you poors live. Let's sleep in the van tonight.
See how you pours?
That like rolled off your tongue a lot easier than it should have, Mikey. That's definitely something you've said before.
Why are we sleeping in the van? We're cosplaying as the poor.
yes.
Can we talk about Eddie for a second too?
Yes.
The sci-fi guy.
Yeah, because we kind of meet all of them in this scene. Although we don't
We
meet
do,
Eddie
yeah.
till a little bit, but we need to address Eddie.
I guess we're supposed to like actually like feel bad for him.
Oh, are we?
He's one of the. I mean, I think in 80s movies language we are.
Okay.
But like in 2022, like he's a Zack Snyder bro, right? Like
He came across to me like a young LRH. Like I was just like, it's good that Jason killed this guy because he was definitely going to start a cult in his 50s. Like,
yeah, something.
yeah.
He reminds me of Martin Starr's character in Party Down, who is a screenwriter, but specifically is hard sci-fi, and he'll just be like, they can't portray the mongoose on screen. It's indescribable. But like, this is just him like 3 years before, fresh out of high school.
Like, I get that Melissa's not that nice either, but
oh, she's terrible.
when she kicks him out of the bed, though, she does say the truth. She's like, I gave you a chance. And, you know.
I don't think he ever had a chance. I
I
think
don't
she was
think
just
he did
using
either.
him to make the other guy feel jealous.
Yeah, I think she was sick of making out with him, waiting for the other guy to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think his response of just like, great, I'm going to take a cold shower and leave then. I was just like, good for you, man. You'll find somebody someday. Except you won't, because your head ends up in the living room. But, whatever. Cool.
I don't actually know who we're supposed to like. I guess except for Tina.
I think we're supposed to like Jason?
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
you're supposed to like Dr. Lomax.
No, sir.
No,
No, absolutely not. That's just you being weird.
Look, when you work in mental health, there comes a time where you have to grab a woman and make Jason stab her so you can get away.
Use her as a human shield.
It's really a rite of passage for any therapist.
No, I really do
That's
think
amazing.
that at this point in the history of this franchise, the slasher has kind of reached a fever pitch, and they realize that the reason people go to the movies are the kills. Like, that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And so I do think in some ways, yeah, we kind of are supposed to root for Jason. Like, yes, we're rooting for Tina. We want Jason to die at the end, but we also don't care or like any of the other people in the movie. They are expendable.
Yeah.
So
At least in 6, I liked a lot of those people. Like,
Tommy Jarvis was awesome.
yeah, Tommy
yeah,
Jarvis. is cool
and
sick.
most of the camp counselors were perfectly like fine, like normal people that you didn't want to see die. Everyone here, I'm like, hell yeah, let's
Yeah. Let's
move
go.
on to the next one.
Anyway, so we meet the kids next door. Melissa's a dick to Tina immediately.
Oh yeah,
Nick helps her kind of repack her suitcase after it falls out of the trunk. And we go into the house where Tina then has to go through like her first kind of therapy session, air quotes, with Dr. Cruz.
Calling it a therapy session is super generous.
I know.
I did put air quotes up, but it is an audio medium.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
air quotes therapy session.
Yeah.
Mikey, how often do you in your first therapy session with somebody put a book of matches on the table?
I can answer this for him. It's never. He never does that, but he does always walk in and be like, welcome to your very first, and he puts his fingers up and goes, therapy session.
No, you always in an intake session, you throw down the matches and you say, move it with your mind.
I have to write this down for code 9719.
You got to know if they have telekinesis. You have to rule it out.
I mean, I wasn't aware that was part of your jurisdiction, but like it makes sense. It deals with the mind. I get it.
Stay in your lane, okay?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
For intakes, you have to fill out a mental status exam that evaluates their emotional state, but also their telekinesis abilities, and file it with insurance because it is paying out at a higher rate for an intake session. You're welcome.
He's got to be making bank too if he like lets these people pay him to stay there and treat all weekend. Like those are all billable hours, I would assume.
All of them. And he's probably billing at $200 or $300 an hour because he's definitely a doctor, which means he bills at a doctorate rate. But also telekinesis is a specialty, which means that he's in demand for his particular modality. And that's going to command a higher rate as well. But he is going to have to justify all of that procedure to the insurance company, and he's likely billing in units, which again ups your price value too.
This is exactly why when he's looking at those papers at the desk, he's like, fuck, I need to hire a medical building encoder. Like, I can't figure this shit out.
Yeah, he's like, these CMS forms are a bitch. This is only going to be funny to anyone who listens to this who is a medical biller.
I'm just hoping he gets a second house. You know, I don't know.
He definitely has a second
Yeah,
house.
he had a
He
second
definitely
house.
has a
Yeah.
second house.
Yeah.
Where's my mom? Him covered in blood. She's somewhere else.
She's where
She
you
signed
just
this
were.
will over conveniently before she died.
It almost seems like he's working with Jason at one point. Like, I remember
Yeah,
like
kind
thinking
of.
that. Like,
Oh, you mean when he holds the mom steady for him to,
Yeah.
like, for her to get stabbed?
I mean,
yeah.
I would have been here for a Dr. Loomis kind of a situation where it turns out he was Jason and he was pretending to be Jason to try and get her to move things with her mind.
oh, like a part 5 kind of thing.
Yeah. But instead, I think he's just a therapist with a second house that is a mansion that houses a jet and serves as a school for creative youngsters.
I agree. Yeah.
Gifted youngsters.
Gifted youngsters. Yeah.
He does talk about how she's behind in the program. Like, I assumed that, like, he has Jubilee back at his mansion. Like, I don't know what's going on, but, like,
If anyone's behind, it's Jubilee. Her powers are dog shit.
Maybe he survives the weed cutter incident, but his legs don't work anymore, so he's in a wheelchair now.
oh my God.
What makes you lose your hair? Alopecia? I don't know.
Supplements. He takes supplements.
Yeah, there you go. He smokes crack. Does that make you lose your hair?
Yeah.
He just thought it would look cool. He loves Vin Diesel.
Because in this mansion, we're family.
When you move things with your mind.
I live my life a 1/4-inch blade at a time.
You thought this was going to be a street fight? You goddamn right it is. That's my favorite. He like says that to Jason Statham. You can just see Statham looking at him like, you have no idea how to be cool, man. Like,
I was almost an Olympic diver, assholes. Show some respect.
Jason Statham was almost an Olympic diver?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there goes 30
shit.
minutes of this recording.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
That's awesome. That guy's a badass.
You can find videos of it on YouTube. He's
Nice.
okay, I guess.
I think last time we talked about this page was like, you could find 37 videos of him on YouTube.
Here's 15 of them.
Back to Friday the 13th, part 7, The New Blood.
Okay, so she moves the matchbook, and he's like, see, when you get emotional and angry, you can move things. And she gets mad and ends up lighting it on fire, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah. And then no one addresses the active fire in the room while she walks away slowly, and the scene ends.
On a wooden table.
Yeah. In what
In
is
a wooden
essentially
cabin.
a tinderbox. Like,
Yeah.
that thing is gonna go up. We got to get something on that stat.
Right. Then we cut to the scene where Dennis, or whatever, the kid dressed in banker clothes,
He's young Dennis Reynolds. That's the reason I called him Dennis. I don't know any of their names.
young Dennis Reynolds and the girl he's with, because they're all just kind of paired off. They're in the van having sex and are like, why are we sleeping in the van? Who says we're sleeping? Ha ha ha.
Hey.
Tina runs out to the dock. She has like a mini flashback, and then she's like, I wish I could bring you back, Dad. And I'm kind of like, why? He sounds like he was kind of a shitbag.
Yeah.
Nobody hits mom anymore. Ooh, that's a weird take, Tina. You don't want dad back. Trust
Oh,
me. Yeah.
He's got some complicated grief. You know, when your dad's kind of an abusive asshole, but your psychic powers accidentally kill him when you're like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Classic therapy problem.
She performs some necromancy, which is like not part of her telekinesis, but she just like thinks hard enough and is like, I wish I could bring you back. Except she brings Jason back, and it's like zombie Jason, and then she passes out.
And he doesn't kill her.
He doesn't kill her for some reason.
Well, he owes her one.
I have so many questions about the logistics of this movie. Like,
So-
Jason is he passes up 2 full houses of people.
Yes.
Goes to kill these random, which I know you're going to get to that, but I'm just saying, and then he comes back.
He's got to go to the garden shed and get all the tools.
And that garden shed is 5 miles away where the other people
Yeah.
are.
But he doesn't even
Yeah.
get to the garden shed until he's killed those people and then killed people closer and then accidentally stumble bumbles his way into the garden shed.
This is Madman Mars level of teleporting.
Yes.
Yeah.
But without the fun feet.
Thank you for calling my feet fun.
I mean, fun as in like a sideshow fun.
Yeah.
But,
that's
you know, whatever.
just hurtful.
I've tried to watch Mad Men like 4 times. I gave up on it finally. I'm like, I've
Oh,
never
really?
You
watched it.
gotta make it. It's so,
It
so
has
fucking
the
wild.
most romantic hot tub chase scene I have ever seen.
The mustaches on those men are they're amazing.
Oh.
Not big enough.
I watched that hot tub scene with a girl I was dating at the time, and we had sexy times afterwards because it sets the mood.
60% of the time, Jonathan, it works every time.
Uh-huh. If you really want to reignite the spark like Tina did at the table, put more Mad Men on.
Oh yeah,
For a
yeah,
lovely
got-
date night.
yeah.
It's a movie you have to make out to, guys. Like, you can't watch it.
You gotta at least make it to the point where the woman is playing the recorder in a boat by herself alone,
Oh my-
contemplatively.
Okay, fine. I'm
just
gonna
like,
watch this movie tonight.
She was leading all of the snakes out of Ireland. How dare you?
She was opening "My Heart Will Go On" by Celine Dion. Anyway, she tells her mom and the doctor, she's like, I saw a man. I can't remember what he looked like, but he came out of the water. And they're just like, well, you are crazy. So
Paige, I read the scene where she necromancied him back to life, as you were putting it, as he was alive that whole fucking time. All
And
she
she
did
just
was break
moved
the
the
chain.
chains.
Yeah. So she like freed Marley or whatever, and he floated to the surface and walked away.
Just like she broke the chain of abuse.
Yeah. And just like Jason's about to kill a chain of fools.
yeah, no notes.
That's what that Aretha Franklin song is about. I don't know if you guys know that. That's, yeah.
Yeah, except that he never uses a chain in this movie. They couldn't get the rights to a chain.
He has a chain around his neck the entire time, though, right?
Yeah,
'Cause he
he
rips
loves
it
it,
off.
though.
Doesn't
Yes.
use it.
It is hilarious. When she hangs him from like the lamp or whatever, he rips off the like
Yeah.
cord from the lamp,
Leaves the chain.
Oh, I thought he took the chain off.
No, he leaves the chain.
The one really good thing about this is, speaking of Jason coming out of the water, the Jason makeup and effects is awesome. It looks like they
Yeah.
considered every blow he's taken.
Yes.
And then you have like the you have like his spinal, the back
Yeah.
showing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's-
I think it looks awesome.
He does
Yeah.
look awesome.
Yeah.
When the mask like breaks off his face and reveals
Yeah.
the face, like I was like, that's probably what you would look like if you were like stuck at the bottom of a lake for 10 years after being stabbed 70 times.
had axes in the head.
Yeah,
and all
yeah, yeah.
kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Plus, he's got the chain to differentiate him from the other fools. So, like, you know that he's the big one.
The director's an FX guy, though, right? He's
He is kind of. They don't have a huge budget for it. The guy who plays Mike, who's about to die, we're about to talk about it. He does a lot of the latex work, but they had such a small budget. They had to reuse a bunch of those latex pieces over and over and over again. They really only had
wow.
money for like one set.
Ah.
And so by the time they finished filming, it smelled so bad that he called him Stinky Voorhees, like as a nickname.
Yeah.
Like it was just, you couldn't even be around him. It just smelled terrible.
That checks out.
Anyway, we cut to 2 unrelated teens in a car at night that we have not met that are supposedly headed to meet the other teens for some sort of party.
and we get to know them so well.
Cousin Michael.
Their car breaks down and they walk, and no sooner have they walked a bit that they get just stone cold murdered by Jason with some sort of spike thing that we never saw where Jason got it. We don't know how the doctor got a second one. It's never explained.
No.
And then Jason walks all the way back to the house,
Yes.
puts the spike thing in the door, and then goes back to kill
Here's
him.
my question. Does he or does the doctor? Because the doctor then has it.
I mean, I would have to assume that there are multiple of these spike thingies and the doctor has his own.
Okay.
Because there's no way Jason could get back and forth that fast. I mean, I guess that he is just teleporting because he's always walking, his victims are always running, and he still catches them.
He's getting his steps in, you know.
He's tall. There's longer strides.
That's
But
what
those
it is.
first
Yeah.
two people that get killed, they're like the equivalent of those like 50s greasers that traveled in time in part
Yeah.
Yeah.
5.
Broke down on the side of the road. Yes.
Oh, yes. The best movie from the 80s.
Yeah.
How dare you? Think of the other things that were made in the 80s, man.
In a decade with Iron Eagle.
Even with Howard the Duck there. No.
But here's my theory on the spike.
Okay.
He has it. He found it somewhere.
Sure.
Who cares?
Yeah.
When it's stuck in the house and she sees it and then tells her parents, her mom and the doctor's like, I don't see anything. The doctor saw it and took it out.
Oh, yeah. For
and
sure.
is gaslighting her.
Yes,
I think.
absolutely he is.
But
Yeah.
you think he put it there as well?
Potentially because it's clean and Jason still has one later in the
That's
movie.
true.
Well, and Jason's is bloody.
And Jason's is bloody, but I have no way to know how he would know that Jason is killing people.
I have a theory. It's gonna be a little wild, but it checks out within the canon of the movie. If she can manifest things from her psyche, if she is watching them be murdered, like if she can rematerialize her father, maybe she rematerialized the knife that Jason used to kill them at the same time he was killing them when she was.
So then there's now 2 in this universe? I mean, she
Yes.
doesn't duplicate things.
She kind of does. She duplicated her father.
No. Her father was in the lake.
Yeah.
She just brought him up.
You
Yeah.
think they just left him in there for like they didn't like go
Yes.
get the body?
They never found him, Mikey.
They never found him.
I don't know.
Mostly.
I mean, they don't say that, Mikey, because that
They
would again
don't
make
say
it a good movie.
She can create things in her mind. She is an omnipresent. She is like the ultimate.
She is a demigod. I think we're all thinking it. Yeah.
she can't create things. She's just telekinetic.
My theory is no one involved gave a shit and did not predict podcasts
Yeah,
that
no,
would
that's
that would
it.
dissect
Yeah.
it.
It's also very accurate. Yeah.
But in this movie, there are very much 2 of those spikes at play.
Yes.
We don't know what they are. We don't know how anyone got them. And
Yeah.
we don't know why there's 2. Like, it's never really explained, Now, granted, this movie was edited to death. So, like, I'm sure there is more explanation that we will just never see. Because anything that was cut out of this movie was destroyed by Paramount. It was just... like they didn't keep the footage, so we'll never know.
In my mind, she manifests. She can create things with her visions, like her father.
Sort of like, I think it was Nancy. Is it Nancy that goes into the dream world in Nightmare and brings
Yes, and
something
she
out
can
from
bring
the dream
stuff
world?
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly like
So
that.
sort of like that.
Yeah.
Which, listen, Mikey, stop trying to make this movie good, you bastard.
Okay, though, so we know that this is supposed to be the first Freddy versus Jason.
Yes, what you
Maybe
said, yeah.
that's a holdover from that original script concept.
I like that Mikey's just making up powers. Like, I think Tina can fly, and that explains.
It never says she can't.
And Mikey, honestly, if you're telekinetic, you can fly.
Yeah.
So she just
can
hasn't
move
learned it.
That's
herself.
true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Once you
Yeah.
go too bonkers, I make too much sense, and it's hard to argue with me at that point because I'm like, well, technically, because of that scene, like she could have rode on the television as it floated across the room.
Yeah.
and she,
She
would
could've.
have been flying.
And
Yeah,
then she could have smashed it over his head and said, "Welcome to primetime, bitch,"
Bitch,
and I would
yeah.
have been here for it. Yeah.
I thought it was really cool when Tina walked onto the bank of the lake and then pulled down that Star Destroyer into it. It was awesome.
what a video game moment that
I love that everyone who's played Fallen Order got that joke.
Anyway, so these 2 teens get Jasoned immediately. But I did
Yeah.
notice something at this point in the movie. If you want to get alcohol poisoning, you should take a shot every time someone is wearing denim on denim in this movie.
Paige, I'm taking notes. You're talking too fast. I'm taking too many notes. I do love that, like, I think it's David, the main male character, is wearing a Canadian tuxedo this whole time.
Nick. His name is Nick.
His name is Nick?
What is a Canadian tuxedo?
Yes.
Is that...
It's denim on denim, baby.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's denim. Denim, denim.
It's the most chafing you can have in an outfit. Anyway, then we cut to Nick comes over and invites Tina over to the party.
Yeah.
So that she can kind of socialize and have a normal life. Even though the doctor threatens to take her back to the hospital always. But she goes to the party with the teens. And this is where she meets, I don't remember his name, but the one who is super into sci-fi and basically just reads her his screenplay just to her face. No warning.
No.
Don't do that to people.
No, don't immediately go L. Ron Hubbard on somebody, like in their face.
No. Yeah. The appropriate way is to email your friends and be like, I'm so sorry. Do you have time to read this? And if it's bad, you don't have to tell me. Just never answer this. Okay, I'm sending it by. Like that. That's how you do it.
As a receiver of at least one of those emails, that script slap, Paige.
Thank you, though. Thank you. That's the one I have to send in tomorrow. I
Do
have to
it.
finish making edits. But yeah. Anyway, so we meet all the kids in the cabin, including Melissa, who is a straight up horrible, mean person.
And supposed to be the nicest. The actress is super nice, apparently. Like everybody said, she was lovely. I'm like,
Yes, and she's been erroneously reported as dead.
yeah,
Oh, really?
but she is alive, right?
She is alive, yes.
But yeah, she's terrible in this movie. Like every scene she's in, she is like being mean to someone.
But she might be a good actor because, like I said, everybody said she was just an
Because
awesome
everyone
person.
loves
So
her,
she might
yeah.
be great.
She might be. It's not in this scene. It's later where Nick is literally like, I don't even like you. Like,
Yeah.
you're trying all this shit and it doesn't matter because I don't like you. So stop. And she's like, that's not the point. And I was like, oh, she's just pure evil. Okay. All right. But this is where she's kind of making fun of Tina. And Tina, in the midst of this, kind of sees Mike get killed by Jason. Like she sees it happen.
Yes.
As like a vision, and drops a bottle of Pepsi on carpet where it somehow shatters.
But also, Paige, they're in the kitchen. Why is your kitchen carpeted?
Oh, that's an 80s thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes. And
Could have been a glass bottle too.
well, it is a glass bottle, but like on a carpeted floor, a glass Coke bottle is so thick it would not shatter.
Oh,
It's a
there's
log
no
cabin.
way.
It's a second house.
Maybe she broke it with her mind.
Oh, that could be.
Oh, you'll jump on that one. Okay.
That's
Because
a
that
power
would
she
make
has,
sense.
Mikey.
I know.
That's an actual power she has on the screen.
Where did her dad come from?
From the bottom of the lake where his body was.
You're okay with her being a necromancer as part of her powers, but her just creating a knife out of nowhere, that's where you draw the line.
She necromances
I
two
just wanna
people back
know
to
where we're
life
at.
on the screen. She doesn't just create anything from nowhere. You're just making shit up.
He didn't age in those
Neither did Jason.
He aged. He looked way better when he got put in that lake. We all know it's true.
Yeah, that 10 years at the bottom of the lake really put on some years. You know what I'm saying?
His spine did not stick out of his body 10 years
Yeah.
ago, Paige.
He started a fitness plan after that. Just spend 10 years at the bottom of the lake, period.
Water aerobics.
Period. No, because her dad is also kind of zombified a little bit.
He has mud smeared on his face. Let's.
At the end of Ghostbusters, when everyone except Bill Murray is covered
Yes.
in marshmallow goo, and that's because
Yeah.
Bill Murray's a dick, and he was like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
That's what it reminded me of when I saw him come out. He's like, you're not putting shit on me. Or they just didn't have the money for the makeup, that's probably the truth.
That could be. I think it's probably that. I think it's
Yeah.
well that, and so that ending was a compromise between the producer and the writer. So here's the thing: the director, the writer, the producer all clashed heads because they all had a bunch of big ideas for what they wanted for this movie. And spoiler, they're all terrible.
And they're all in this movie.
Well, so that's some of the stuff where like you read about the director, like I was fighting for more of this in this movie, and you're like, that was a terrible idea. Like, why did you do that? But then the producer's ideas are so much worse somehow, and you're just like, did anyone not have a face full of cocaine while writing or directing this film?
Yeah, you need to watch my film where it's revealed that Jason is actually Q.
Oh my God.
And he got them to come to the Capitol because he needed victims.
Jesus.
Honestly, this Jason versus Democracy script is shaping up nice.
Well, here's the thing. Is Tina responsible because she brought Jason out of the water?
She is!
So she's going through a lot more therapy after this happens.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she sees what she believes to be a murder. So she drops that Pepsi. She runs.
Yeah.
And outside her house, she sees the murder weapon stuck into the like porch.
Yeah.
She runs inside, tells her mom and the doctor, and she's like, just go look outside. There's a spike out there. And he goes out there and he's there for a minute and then tells them to come out and there's no spike.
Right.
I think that's where he gets the one from the desk.
It is, absolutely. For sure where he gets it. Because he's a scummy, scummy dude.
Yeah, exactly. So we cut to unrelated teens camping. They're not part of the group next door. We've never met them before.
Do we even get their names?
His name is Dan. I don't remember what her name was.
If you actually look in the credits, she's billed as the sleeping hag.
Oh, really?
No, but I thought that would be funny.
Anyway, they're sitting by the fire and she's like, it's getting cold. And he's just like, how about my dick? And she's just like, how about you get firewood? Okay, fine.
But he missed the perfect opportunity to be like, I've already got firewood.
I know. It made me so angry as a writer. I was just
And I felt like she was setting that up for him perfectly.
too.
Like I feel like, and then he fucked it up, and she's like, "You better go get the wood now." You know.
she says, get some wood. And he just goes, all right. Instead of just being like, already got it, baby. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like, what are we doing?
This guy needs Dirty Talk 101.
He does. But he won't get it because Jason punches through his back.
He did do that in part 6, though. He punched through Rorschach's or whatever his name is from
Yeah.
Welcome Back, Kotter. He punched into his stomach as well.
He like Mortal Kombat fatalities this dude, and Jonathan's like, that's actually canon. I mean,
There's no way that guy's name is Rorschach, is there? Is that his name on Welcome Back?
I think it was Owl Man.
Owl Man?
yeah, from
Watchmen.
Watchmen. Thank you.
It's
yeah.
Watchmen, yeah, because that's what I was thinking. If I thinking of Rorschach from Watchmen, but
First of all, Night Owl. His name is Night Owl.
Oh, yeah.
Night Owl 2, to be precise. It's played by horror daddy Patrick Wilson. How could you forget?
Talk about a sex scene.
I know, that sex scene is wild. In Watchmen? Woo.
oh yeah, Malik Ackerman or whatever, and
Malin Ackerman. Yeah. It's Mikey's favorite.
to that. What is it? It's a God. What song is that? It's a version. of-
Hallelujah.
yeah, it's the but it's the famous
Yeah.
version. I can't think of that singer's name.
It's by Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just unlike Madman, Leonard Cohen is not someone to have sex to. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
Disagree.
I mean, there are people who will disagree with you. I'm not one of them, but yeah.
Oh, I meant like specifically in front of Leonard Cohen. He like I'd like for
Oh,
him
no,
to
I'll do
watch
that.
me.
Well,
All day long.
I've heard that's acceptable.
Oh yeah,
He'll pay you. In fact.
Yeah.
that is not canon. I just want to go on this that a big allegedly after that. Is Leonard Cohen still alive? I don't want his family suing us.
Oh, that's a good point. I have no idea if he's still alive. Actually, I couldn't even tell you what he looks like. Like if you put him in front of me, I wouldn't know that was Leonard Cohen.
Well, that's because when he's around, you're busy having sex and you're not paying attention to what he looks like.
He died in 2016.
Thank God.
So you're gonna have Tina. Tina's gonna need to show up. Raise
Tina
that.
has to bring him out of the lake.
If you don't think I'll have sex in front of Leonard Cohen's corpse that Tina brought out of a lake, you're dead wrong. Pull up the van.
Someone find out where Leonard Cohen is buried, and we're gonna marry Shelley this. Let's go.
No, don't do that to him.
I was gonna cut this whole section until this happened, so fuck all y'all.
Yeah, get ready, Paige. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna pull an Owl Man. Owl
He
Man
doesn't need to
2.
see you get out of breath after 2 minutes.
You make it sound like he's gonna be on top at all.
Okay, that's too personal.
Anyway, so Dan's not coming back because he's been punched through.
yeah.
He took it from behind.
Oh.
I didn't realize Leonard Cohen was in the scene. Interesting.
Anyway, she's like trying to like get all cuddly, and then Jason just like slices through the tent and then pulls her out in the sleeping bag and then just swings that sleeping bag against a tree. And it's the best.
Insane. I loved it.
I love the I like how she just immediately goes into the sleeping bag like that's gonna help. But I would do that as well. I know damn well
Yeah,
that's
of
what I would do
course.
because it's like if I can't see them, I'm good.
It's fully
Yes.
a panic response, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, would you rather get stabbed or bludgeoned against a tree? Because I think I might go bludgeoned against a tree.
I think there's a possibility you could make it
Yeah.
bludgeoned like that. If you like protect your head.
That's true.
And protect your neck.
I definitely would not come out of the sleeping bag for like 4 days.
Yeah, I'd play dead for sure.
Oh, yeah. She's the only one that survives this movie. Like
Yeah, she's got a couple broken ribs. Don't worry about it.
That's like me sleeping with my bedroom door closed, as if like if somebody got in, they couldn't open a bedroom door.
yeah.
Right.
Click.
Leonard Cohen, is that you? No. Oh.
stop dressing like a Christmas tree. It's January.
What?
We've created this whole like legend around Leonard Cohen that I don't think he would appreciate, or maybe he would. He seems
Maybe he would.
he might love it.
I do want to say allegedly on all the Leonard Cohen shit. Please don't sue us. It's clearly a joke. I'm sure he was a great family man.
Todd's very serious. I'm not involved.
But yeah, Christmas tree, he was sneaking around the house. And it was December
Like
recently.
the
I don't know.
Grinch?
Yes.
And then he said garbage
Because I was like,
day.
it's either the garbage day. It's either the Grinch or a guy in a ghillie suit from To Catch a Predator. But usually he doesn't come inside.
Unless his wife is there. Let's move on.
Let's never move on.
that sounded really dark. Like
Never move
like
on.
Mikey's just like really depressed. He's like, We could never move on from that.
We cut to the cabin where the teens are teening and not noticing that their friend has been missing for 24 hours and therefore they can report it.
I think you mean the 36-year-olds are partying.
Are teening.
She's got real pearls. Pearl necklace page.
I mean, doesn't she tell a story about how she got that pearl
was
necklace though,
waiting
Mikey?
for
Her daddy bought it for her. It's in this scene.
Her daddy got her a pearl necklace. That's so...
Yeah,
Sugar
sugar daddy.
daddy.
She's an escort. Yes. She's a sex worker getting them pearls. Yes. But they're all just like, hey, our friend should be here by now. Probably drunk drove and got pulled over. Whatever. Like they're like, you know him, daily occurrence.
And they're
Just-
making what looks like the nastiest pizza I've ever seen in my life. Like I don't even
It looks terrible.
It looks like they've like put Captain Crunch on it or something.
It definitely looks still uncooked,
Yes.
but they're eating things off of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh.
no.
They had to shut down
no.
production for 2 days because everyone got food poisoning after the scene.
I also did you notice I think it's when she leaves, there's like a couple pairs of women's underwear just
Yes.
hanging on the door. I've never noticed
Yes.
that before until this time, which I haven't seen this one that many times, but I was just like, what is that about? Like
It's so strange.
they seem too old for that, like
Well, that's actually canon because no one is wearing underwear in this film, as we see.
Oh, that's true.
True.
That
The
is-
one main one is a body double, but yes, yeah. Anyway, we cut to Nick, who's gone next door, who's hanging out with Tina, because he's just like, I love a girl with daddy issues, especially daddy issues that can move TVs. Like,
Hell
so-
Yeah, I've never dated a girl who could move her own stuff. That would be great.
Okay, but serious question. If your partner could do mind shit, how long would it be before you incorporated that into your sex play?
Oh no, she's gonna mind jerk me off for sure.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
This is back to Watchmen. This is the Dr. Manhattan scenario
Yeah.
where he could be like 4 people at once. Like, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but you can't create a copy of the knife. That's fine, whatever.
Telekinesis. He is moving parts as if he's 4 people at once. That's not creating new shit.
He created 4 copies of himself.
It's Dr. Manhattan, Mikey.
Yeah, who is a different character.
Yeah. I like in Nightmare when Freddy is like, welcome to primetime, bitch, or whatever, like that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. I like that. I don't think I want Jason to do it. I sort of wanted Tina to do it in this movie. I thought that would be funny.
I see what you're saying.
Because she has a kill count too.
Well, yeah, every
Yeah.
single person that dies in
Yeah.
this movie is because of her.
There's an argument to be made if she can create her father out of thin air. She created Jason as an
Oh my God.
as an instrument of revenge.
As like a tulpa?
How
No.
like dark would that ending have been? No, if she could do that and like she recreated all of them and they're just all like sitting around her at the end. Like,
Just in like Force Ghosts. Just like,
It's like the end of Hereditary.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
but they're all just mutilated, bowing to her. And she's just like, what?
Yeah, the ascot guy with like no face right there.
Yeah.
I like Axe Face Guy.
It wasn't an axe though. The thing he hit him with, it was like a paddle, wasn't it? Or like a
It's like a scythe, kind of.
maybe, yeah.
Like some sort of farm instrument. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so this is where Nick finds out about her dad, and he should run in the other direction because he's like, oh, she could kill me with her mind too.
Power of boners,
Yeah.
as we say.
He basically recites the opening to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as his backstory.
So I in West Philadelphia is where I was born and raised. Like I spent a lot of time on playgrounds
He's like,
most of my days.
I grew up in Pittsburgh and I fell in with a bad crowd, and then I went to go live with my uncle. I was like, what?
my uncle who's a judge.
Yeah,
Same old story. Same old story.
It's how we could afford this $3,000 house on a lake.
He's not related. So here's,
Oh wait, it's not his uncle's place?
it's not his uncle's place. It's
Man.
Dennis's uncle's
Yeah,
place.
it's the guy with the sweater.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's young Dennis. That's right.
His cousin is the guy who he has a picture
Yeah.
of in his wallet, because I have pictures of my cousins in my wallet.
And the girlfriend.
Yeah.
And the
Oh, we know
girlfriend.
why he had that photo in his pocket. His cousin's dating a hottie and he needed material. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Oh.
This is also why Nick doesn't care about any of the other characters, doesn't like Melissa, and doesn't really talk to any of them because he's not their friend. These are
Yeah.
just his cousin's friends. And he's just like, fuck those idiots.
Holy shit, that makes so much sense because he does have a fuck these idiots vibe the whole movie.
Well, and he's never like hanging out with them or anything. Like he's
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, Melissa like follows them around the forest like a creep.
You know, like a stalker.
And she's terrible at it. Like, I don't know how they didn't discover her very
She's
quickly.
in mint green and snapping all the twigs.
Yeah. So what you're saying is she was
wild.
invisible.
Yeah. It's like the Predator. Wild.
I mean, but that's what they would have you believe because they never see her.
Yeah. Well, they see something and they don't know what it was.
Yeah. Well, I think they actually heard a twig break or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he backed up far enough to where he should have been able to see her, and then he acts like it. And I don't know if we're supposed to think he did see her and just didn't say. I don't know.
I mean, he practically
Yeah.
I don't
barged
understand
into
any
her,
character
so-
motivation in this movie.
Anyway, but we cut to like the next day where they're grilling and people have kind of like partnered off and then they're smoking weed.
I want to point out that grill is aggressively not on at all in that shot.
Not on. The meat is all raw and she's like still turning the kebab.
Yes.
I want to point out that they're making shish kebabs, which is definitely something mid-30s people would do and not like 21-year-olds.
Teenagers would be like, do I have to cook the hot dogs first?
When are we ordering pizza?
I did have a roommate in college that made a roast once, and I thought that was really odd, but it was tasty.
People can cook, especially before the internet. I'm sure they did
It's
stuff.
just your college is like who I don't know. It's just weird. Like what college kid makes a roast? But it was
A keeper, Jonathan. A keeper.
Well, because I was like, how do you make a roast in a hot pot?
That was the magic of it, Paige.
Just microwaving it.
You guys want some of my micro roast?
You are not allowed to have a toaster. Anyway, Nick brings Tina back over and they literally make fun of her for being in a mental hospital. And I think it's because Melissa overheard her.
Yeah, she was dropping that eaves when she was following them like a creep.
There is basically a negative stigma for getting mental health treatment until like last year.
Yeah.
But did that straitjacket joke slap a little bit? But I mean, you know, it looked terrible.
It looked terrible. And that's why she ruins Melissa's pearls.
Yeah.
And then leaves.
nobody really questions that. Like
No.
No, they're like,
It's like-
oh, damn.
what's weird is that girl got a weird look in her eyes, and
Yes.
then all of a sudden Melissa's pearls like broke.
Yeah. Did you
Well-
notice that Nick's new girlfriend is Jean Grey? Like, what?
Have you seen Carrie?
The thing about most pearl necklaces are definitely associated with intense looks. Really intense looks.
Or unless you're closing your eyes so it doesn't get in your eyes.
Which, I mean, she does in this scene. You see it.
I'm talking about the giver, not the receiver.
You're only ever thinking about the giver.
It's my favorite book.
That's my favorite book.
This is a pretty solid book. Anyway, so she runs out and is like, I'm seeing things, like I feel like I saw someone got killed, like you're not listening to me. But she runs back over to the house and they're like, we're going to take you back to the hospital. And she's just like, no, and levitates a TV at the doctor's head. But every time she levitates big things, they're on like fishing wire and they kind of
so good.
wobble.
Terrible.
And it's like slow wobble over to hit people. Like you have a million years to dodge anything she throws at you.
She's just learning, Paige.
Yeah, he definitely stands there for too long.
She hasn't even been officially enrolled in Xavier's School of Witchcraft and Wizardry or whatever it is. Like,
He's trying to teach her and she won't listen. You have to be yelled at for your powers to work.
Anyway, they basically are like, we're leaving tomorrow. And she's like, fuck that. I'm going to leave now because she is kind of like, she doesn't want to go to the hospital. She doesn't trust him. And he's being creepy.
I mean, yeah, she even says, she's like, you're not my real doctor. And she like grabs the keys and runs to the car.
You're only my secondary or tertiary provider.
Yeah, but then Dr. Bernie Lomax had a sick burn where he's like, oh, you want to go home? Why don't we ask the opinion of your dead dad that's in the lake out there, what he thinks about it?
He'll never help you.
He never gets to go home.
I really like that when he does come back at the end. He's like, I got those cigarettes.
But now they're all wet, so I got to go get more. So
See you in 20 years again.
anyway, we cut to the guy whose uncle owns the cabin and his associated girl whose name I do not remember. Anyway, they start out by, he's like, when did you first fall in love with me? And she's like, when I saw a huge bulge in your pants from your wallet. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Well, and that does like the dumb thing about that is he could just have like a Costanza wall. It doesn't mean he has money. He could just have,
He
like,
could just be saving every receipt he's gotten for the past 3 years.
I keep all my money in a dildo, so like I understand how it's confusing for
You
people.
could have like 10 condoms in there. You know, you don't know.
Yeah, you never know. Or so many pictures of your cousin.
and their girlfriends.
Anyway, she
God.
strips down and goes skinny dipping, and before he can join her, Jason just like slashes through the center of his face.
Yeah.
And then immediately is somehow underwater underneath the skinny dipping girl, so that we get a shot like directly up her vaginal canal. Just like,
I do love when he like breaks through the surface. They play a little bit of splashy before he becomes Jaws again and grabs her foot and pulls her down.
well, part of the reason that is there is because
Because in the rules of Marco Polo,
no.
She was technically not a fish out of water.
Yeah. She was supposed to keep her eyes closed, and she didn't. The first-time producer on this movie wanted Jason to basically be in the lake the whole time and function kind of like Jaws.
Holy shit.
Because she really liked Jaws.
Tell me this guy went on to make the
It's a lady.
smash box office success Lake Placid.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Because that's basically what he wanted this movie to be, apparently.
That's a weird upward shot though. I think that's the
Oh,
only movie I've ever seen that shot.
only movie that was not a
saw
sex
some
documentary.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Like,
fair.
yeah.
Not
Yeah,
non-porn.
that is where babies come from.
Yeah.
And I assumed she was like wearing like nude underwear or something, but I don't think there was any.
No.
I had the same thought. I had to watch it 3 or 4 times for the podcast.
It was terrible. It was so disgusting, Mikey. I couldn't handle it.
Crazy.
I had to watch
like
it
this
super
exploitation.
slow-mo.
Well, because I was watching it initially, I was like, whoa. I was like, that is a
It's bizarre.
shot. And then it gets closer. Like, it pushes it. I was like, holy shit. What the fuck? Like, why?
Are we about to see penetration? What's happening?
Yeah.
It's like that People versus Larry Flint scene where he's like, oh, no, that's too far. And then Larry Flint's like, no, that's what I want, that.
Yes. It is a body double. The girl who goes into the water did not want to film that nude scene, and so they inserted a body double and cut away.
I can't blame her.
Right.
Yeah, I can't blame her either. She's like, yeah, I don't need you to film a gynecological exam. Like,
They
this
could
is-
use that scene in like medical studies and stuff, like when they're teaching kids about.
This
Yes.
is what good movies are like, children. Jason doesn't believe in that kind of sex education, Jonathan.
We are in the South.
Not in my America.
I'm sick of Jason grooming these kids.
Look, you have one choice when it comes to being naked in lakes, and that's abstinence.
Don't do it. If you do, either the crocodile from Lake Placid or Jason will get you.
And first off, like going in a lake with even a full set of clothes on is
Yes.
That's
an
why she was
awful
like,
idea.
Let's skinny dip. I was like, oh no, girl.
Yeah, like all that bacteria.
Picking moss out of there for weeks.
I've never been a lake swimmer. Not a fan of
Never.
it.
You know where I swim? Pools, baby.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, they're both super dead immediately. We cut inside the cabin to the girl who's putting on makeup and who's trying to like, I'll show Dave whatever. And it's like, I didn't even realize this was like, why?
She's got a full backstory. She's like the dorky girl. She's like, this is it. This is my chance.
Well, and
Guys.
the redhead is like really mean to her and says you're not his type or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you know what? I'm gonna she's all that myself and give it another shot. And I love that for her. She's trying to like, put it on.
Yeah.
she deserves better.
I mean, she deserves someone who will love her at her nerdiness because
Yeah.
that's the best.
Yeah. Hey, nerdy girls, if you're out there listening to this, if a guy's not interested in you, fuck that guy. I don't like, don't fuck, like, try to fuck people who are interested in you.
But hide better when Jason's following you.
Yes.
Don't worry. Jason kills all of them.
Be yourself.
No.
Be yourself.
Fucking love Just Friends.
I mean, I don't know where she's going to go, but it's just funny. She goes like around this thing where there's a huge opening.
Well, and she's out there and she's like, David? And I was like, did you agree to meet him out here? Because he's fucking that other chick. So, like, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
he's super not into you. Like, that is a plot point, ma'am.
Also, you're 19. You don't have to like get married. Like maybe you could like, maybe he is into you this lake trip.
Or maybe he doesn't know what he's missing. Go find somebody who gets it. Fuck
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, because he seemed like such a catch.
Yeah, he's not. He's not.
She had two choices, him or Eddie, and I think we know which one
She
she
doesn't
was
have to
going
make a
to
choice. She could just get a nice book and have a relaxing
Yeah.
vacation, and that's also fine.
Absolutely.
I do love a reading of this movie where she's just in one of the bedrooms reading while all her friends are getting murdered outside.
It's like me in Kansas City, where it's like, we got barbecue, and now I'm going to come back and read my shitty, smutty book. Let's do it.
Yeah. Paige is right. She was reading porn the entire trip.
What's up? Anyway, so we cut to Nick comes back to the house and he confronts Melissa and he's like, why were you being so mean to Tina? And she's just like, whatever. And he's like, stop. I don't like you. And she's like, would you be jealous if I was like all up on Eddie? And he's like, I don't care. Like, I don't like you. Like, what
He is so clear with her. He's like, I don't know you. You're terrible. I don't want to be with you ever. And she's like, I'm just going to make him jealous and then he's going to want a piece. It's like, no, that's not how that's going to work at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Eddie is immediately just like, you think I'm cute? And she's like, sure. I guess.
I mean, the vibe is, I think you'll do.
Yeah.
I don't think he cares. I think he knows what he's there for,
Oh, I think he's actually a little hurt.
I don't think Eddie knows. I
Yeah.
think Eddie is not in touch with the reality of the situation.
I think he's aware enough of fiction to know when things are too good to be true.
Do you think that's why he just gracefully bows out later? He's like, my time is concluded. Thank you, ma'am. My lady.
He probably was like, there are no e-meters in here and you feel like you're full of Thetan, so I'm getting out.
I just wanted the conversation where he's like, I didn't know I was going to have sex tonight, so these whitey tidies are for comfort.
Everybody is wearing briefs in this movie.
It's a very brief, heavy movie.
Anyway, we also find out that the doctor has the metal spike in the desk.
Yeah. I think that's the confirmation that he took it.
Yeah, he took it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes out into the woods and finds Mike, but also finds the other spike that is like still in Mike.
Oh, that's
So,
right.
like,
there was another one. Yeah. I'm with
It's
you
like
now.
covered in blood. Yeah.
Yeah, he runs away. While he's out, her mom is like going through his desk and she finds the spike and a tape. She puts a VHS tape in and just plays audio.
No. You can see that there's like a small little TV screen right there. It's like
okay,
a
I missed the TV
9-inch like
screen.
black and white. They don't ever show it, but you see it light up.
I think you
okay.
guys are forgetting that the TV was destroyed earlier in that room.
Well, but she has like a whole different like machine. It looks like an Apple II. Do you guys know what Apple IIs
Yeah.
look like?
That TV was going so slow it might not have even destroyed it. Like it might have just landed and been fine.
Honestly, back in the 80s, like you might have had to like knock it around a little bit to get it to work.
That's
Yeah.
true. Those TVs were insanely like built.
I'm not joking. Like my dad, he grew up in that time period and he would be like, yeah, the first troubleshooting step I do is lift it 6 inches and drop it.
That's my troubleshooting step. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you tell a TV with a broken screen?
Nothing.
You already told it once.
Reappropriating domestic abuse jokes.
Anyway, so she at this point is like, you've been gaslighting Tina. You're terrible. And he's like, whatever. I'm going to commit her and you can't do anything about it. Ha ha ha. Tina overhears, grabs the car keys. She's out of there.
Can that ever happen, Mikey, by the way?
Can I just commit someone because they're not doing what I say?
Well, I'm just saying you can commit someone without a parent's or without a parent's say.
In the state of Tennessee, and I think nationally, like if you're 16, you can consent to your own mental health treatment without parents'
Oh,
permission.
okay.
Under 16, you need parents' consent for permission unless they're in imminent danger of harming themselves or others to the point
Yeah.
where, and the parents are refusing to do anything. So then you have to report it to DCS about medical neglect where the parents are refusing treatment. And then you still can emergency commit the kids. I believe. I'm not a kids specialist.
Yeah.
But, she wasn't in imminent danger to... Well, she was. She did kill all of her friends, so maybe she was. Maybe...
She didn't bring Jason back and kill her dad.
I mean, I think we're all thinking that Bernie Lomax is the hero of this film, or was trying to be at least.
No,
And then he was
no.
killed for his trouble. Yeah, I think that's what we're all saying. Yeah.
She technically killed her dad, but there's no way anybody could actually like write that down because
Oh, I don't think
Yeah.
that would ever be blamed on her. Like,
no,
yeah,
there's no way.
No.
perfect crime.
Yeah.
No, the perfect crime would just be making his heart stop, which she would have the ability to do if she could control it. Like, she is way more scary to me than Jason ever would be.
Anyway. Glasses girl is running around. David's not out there. She ends up in the barn. Jason chases her around.
She's the one running in hills, by the way, I was talking
She's
about.
the one running in heels and crawling through the dirt. But ultimately, Jason just breaks through the wood behind her and like decapitates her with a scythe.
Yes.
We don't see her die, though. We just see we don't really see anyone die, really.
That's why this is the no blood.
I didn't know that, but every kill in this movie to me feels like it's like a Unsolved Mysteries 1990s like dramatic reenactment of a true crime story. Like, it does not feel like a regular Jason movie to me.
Right.
Well, and another Michael Myers thing there, he sees her. He clearly sees her and acts like he doesn't. Like, I've never seen Jason do that before because he sees her through the wood, then he walks out like he didn't see her.
Yeah. He's just playing with her.
Because he really enjoys this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
apparently.
like later when she's trying to get away from him and he closes the door. And I'm like, Jason almost never does that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he lets people run and he just follows them. So, like, when he's kind of dancing around her later, I was like, what is this? Like,
Are you talking about with Tina?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and we haven't even mentioned Kane Hodder, I guess, yet. But other than Paige said his book was terrible. But
It's just a lot of him telling stories about himself, which I guess is most biographies.
yeah,
so
that's true.
It's an
I love
autobiography.
I love how
It is the story of
Paige
yourself.
just
Yeah, but
described
it's
an autobiography.
It's so weird. It's just about his life and nobody else's.
He's such an egotist.
What
man.
an
Like,
ego on that guy.
I mean, I've never written stories about myself for other people to read, so I can't really.
No, it can still be bad, though. Yes, autobiographies can absolutely be bad.
It seems to overly focus on his involvement. is
Yeah,
what
it's
I
just
will
like that book. What's it called? I Am Malala.
say. Malala Yousafzai.
Yeah.
Don't come for Malala on this podcast. Get fucked.
I'm just saying her book was like a lot about her. Like, she needs to focus on other people. Like, there are other people having... Like, that is the level of what you did.
You know who wrote like that? Hitler, Mein Kampf.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and Mikey, The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank has a lot of Anne Frank in it. Like, we get it. God, go out, meet some people in your town, do something.
What was your family thinking? Like, tell us more about that.
I'm gonna go report to hell. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad about those jokes. Holy
Like
shit.
15 years mixed up Helen Keller and Anne Frank like repeatedly over and over again.
Bert Kreischer has a whole bit about doing this at the Anne Frank Museum.
Oh no.
Oh, fuck. So she couldn't see or hear anything? Oh, no, she was killed by the Nazis. Okay, my bad. I'm thinking of the wrong person. Right. I hope she would have been a believer.
Oh God, it makes me laugh
crazy.
way too hard. And it's one of the
You're like, she had big red hair and like makeup. No, that's Ronald McDonald. Oh, sorry.
Shit. I was
So
thinking
that's
Little Orphan
Orphan
Annie.
Annie?
That's my bad. That's my bad. Yeah, okay. She has her own restaurant? No, that's Wendy's. You're close. Still a redhead,
You're
but straight,
close.
not curly. Yeah.
Does she go on stage and like have like toys and she makes fun of them? No, it's Carrot Top.
It's Carrot Top.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And what we just played is our new game, 7 Degrees of Carrot Top, where we can get anything back to Carrot
Back
Top in
to Carrot
7
Top.
spaces.
It'd be my luck. Carrot Top listens to this.
He does.
You're like, I'm going after that guy. And he's like big now, right? Like he works out like
he's
all
jacked.
the time.
I challenge you, Carrot Top. I'll see you in the square
I mean,
circle.
It's like that scary kind of jacked. Like you're just
Yeah, like he wants to compete as Mr. Universe, who was Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was in the Terminator, also starring.
If you guys want,
So.
if Carrot Top is listening, I'll fight him.
Carrot Top is not a kangaroo, Mikey.
He looks like one.
Oh, them some actual fighting words.
I'll see you in the ring, Carrot Top.
That's where he keeps his props, is his pouch.
I swear to God, if I have to keep in the Anne Frank jokes to get to here, I'm going to be so mad at you guys.
I still can't believe that I literally was like, I don't know, and then described what an autobiography was.
Autobiographies. Paige, that was so fucking
Like the
funny.
second it came out of my mouth, I was like, that's dumb. That's
This
dumb, bitch.
book is so boring. Barack Obama only describes what he experienced in the presidency.
Fuck, have you ever led a long walk to freedom? It's like a lot about Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, Nelson Mandela doesn't even talk about other people's perspective while he was in prison.
I've never actually met Kane. I've always heard he's like insanely nice.
I've heard he's very nice.
Yeah, he loves being Jason. He is obsessed with being Jason. It is the like shining light of something in his life. And because of that, he talks a lot about how he is like the Jason.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was about to say. Like, I like him. Like, I think he makes a lot of that stuff at the end work because he does have like, maybe he's a better actor than some of the other Jasons have been.
Or at
like,
least a better
it's
stunt
some
man.
really silly stuff. It's like, and it's bad special effects and he's having to like just play like that shit's happening. And he does a pretty decent job at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in like, I just think it's weird that everybody's just like, obviously Kane Hodder's the best Jason. Like, he's like in 4 of the worst movies in the franchise. Like,
Yeah.
that's not his fault, but
No, but I guess he's played Jason the most is the thing.
yeah, that's probably a lot of it.
Anyway, so she takes off. She finds Nick in the woods after crashing the car because she like takes off in the car and then she sees what looks like her mom's murder and swerves to avoid it and runs into Nick and she's just like, I've got to go back for my mom. And Nick's just like, I just found you. Like, what the fuck? So she takes off on foot. Meanwhile, Jason arrives at the cabin. Everyone is boning. There's van sex going on. There's a couple different bedrooms worth of sex.
No one made a van is knocking joke, and if any script that felt perfect for it would be this one.
Right?
It would be this, yeah.
Yes, it would.
Why was that couple mad at each other? I wasn't paying attention close enough.
I could not figure it
I
out.
honestly think it's in a cut scene. I don't think they ever establish why she's mad at him.
Because it almost is like he walks up and he's like, I guess we should have sex because we're the only 2 left. And she's like, can't argue that logic.
Let's go to the van.
I thought she did eventually say something, but I guess I just remembered that wrong because he goes and sits by her.
She does. She's like, I forgive you or something.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah, but you're like, for what? I don't know. Yeah.
Or it's like, are you still mad at me? I guess not. You know, it's just one of those type of things, which never works in real life for some reason.
no, I'm not mad at you because I know I've always wanted to have sex in a van. And I know that I took that badly.
Ruining that dream for you.
Every time I've said, are we good now? I'm pretty sure that's resulted in a, what the fuck do you think? And from several different women, by the way, not just one.
Are we good now? Is definitely
It's not a thing
death
to say.
sentence. Send it on text and it's even worse. Are we good now? Question mark. Confused emoji.
And then also eggplant emoji, just in case.
Yeah.
Are we good now? Do you want a salad?
Oh, so you want to fight? Why don't we just skip the fight and go to makeup sex? Oh, there's a lot of dots. This is going on for a while.
Yeah.
Better block her.
So Jason comes and knocks on the van while they're having sex. And they're like, oh, it must be Michael. He finally got here, even though he's been missing for 2 days. And they stop having sex to be like, happy birthday. I don't care if it's your birthday.
They really like Michael.
And they
I
really
mean,
hate
yeah.
having sex with each other, apparently.
I guess. I'm like, you could not stop me during sex for anyone's birthday.
Here's the thing, though. They were going for a surprise in a surprise party situation, and like people chase that high. You know what I'm saying?
The surprise party was the last night. It's not this night. He missed it by a day, even if this is Michael.
I know, but they were like, we could still open up these van doors and yell surprise, and he won't even know. They're like, yes, let's go for it. Stop having sex. Let's do it.
Surprise, we're having sex in here.
But it's weird they were so convinced it was him. There's like so many other people.
weird.
Oh, you mean with zero evidence? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We know that walk.
They were actually just reading Jason's latest Q drop. that Michael would come 3 days late for his surprise party.
Along with
With
JFK,
JFK Jr.
We have the story. Yeah.
Guys, Jason vs. Democracy is shaping up really nice.
Honestly.
I'm not cutting it from the episode. It's a great runner.
Anyway, Jason just fully crushes that guy's head and then shoves a noisemaker through that girl's eye. And then he like decorates the forest with all the bodies he accumulated, which is weird.
He takes pride in his work.
Yeah, he's not a monster.
Yeah, he's not one of them millennials that's just gonna quiet quit and wants a 4-day work week.
Yeah, I read that wasn't that death supposed to be, that was another one that's supposed to be super graphic. Like I heard they were supposed to
Yes.
like pop his head like it was a pimple, basically. Like,
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought. And then
Yeah.
it cut away. And I was like,
Yeah, I think it's like I think it was supposed to be kind of like Eli Roth and Piranha 3D, where his head gets popped between
squished by
those
the
two
Oh, yeah.
ships.
Yeah. Oh
and
my
it's just
God.
like a blood mist.
Yeah.
Gotta love
Piranha
Piranha.
3D.
Anyway, we cut up to Eddie and Melissa where she's just like, meh, no thanks. And he's like, I can handle rejection. I've been rejected from multiple science fiction magazines.
Yeah.
I was also okay with her rejecting him because that was super disturbing. Like just watching whatever that was supposed to be.
The angle that it was like the angle of the camera is just like straight up his asshole.
Yeah, it's like a
but,
wedgie.
like,
It's like wedgie cam.
So you guys clearly didn't pick up on what the cinematographer was doing in this scene. It's a mirror of the shot from under the water, except now it's the male version of that, right?
And it's Eddie.
he's subverting the male
You're
gaze.
welcome, ladies.
Future Johnny Bravo, guys, right there.
In the shot no one asked for.
Nope. We cut to Dave and the redheaded girl whose name
I don't remember.
Her name is Robin. I know that for reasons.
Okay.
Gross.
Oh, not those reasons, but
Anyway, so Nick and Tina find Michael's body in the woods.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, my cousin. And she's just like, I'm sorry. I care about my mom. I got to get out of here.
Paige, like, that is terrible, but like that might as well be the dialogue. Like, it's just so terrible dialogue.
I actually thought it was. I thought you were doing an exact quote.
Yeah.
The thing that blows my mind
Yeah.
is no one ever goes to the phone, tries to see if it works. I mean, and we see a phone on the desk where the doctor
He calls
is.
Michael.
Yeah. So, like, why does no one call the cops this entire movie?
Ooh, the cops stopped. They stopped going. Into
Yeah, they don't go to Crystal
Oh,
Lake.
yeah.
They're like, you're on your own. There's just a Cricket Wireless next to a liquor store, and they're not going anywhere near
Our
it.
insurance actually stopped covering responses to Crystal Lake.
Because, I mean, the cop showed up in part 6, and that didn't go well, so I don't...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Anyway, cut back to the stoned couple having sex. But again, the movie doesn't know how to depict people who are stoned. But he's like, I'm hungry. I'm going to go get food. And she's just like, okay.
That sounds accurate to my learned experience from when I was stoned. I'm hungry. I'm going to go get
yeah.
food.
This was a time where, like, this wasn't legal, though. Nobody would even
Yeah.
sell that kid marijuana. That
Yeah.
kid would fuck everything up.
That kid had narc written all over him.
I think that kid is selling marijuana
Maybe.
because, like, we see his stash
That's
later,
true.
and it's so much weed for the amount of people
Well-
and the fact that they've already been there for a couple days and smoked a bunch of it. I was like, how do you have this much weed on you, bro?
Then it's good that Jason killed him, because if he hadn't, the guy that he buys all that pot from that he's not selling would probably...
Yes.
Yeah, he owes him 10
You don't
grand.
smoke your own product, man. That's not how it works. Or so I've heard. I've never been a drug dealer. I want to make that very clear.
You sound very convincing.
Yeah. You seem to know a lot of the ins and outs
Yeah.
of the business.
Uh-huh,
I don't know that you
uh-huh.
ever did, but I'm just saying you know a lot about it.
Jonathan, I've never ghosted a woman either. Guys, this just in. I just got an FBI alert. They're looking for this guy who was in the Capitol riots. Oh, it's just a black and white picture of Jason and Nancy Pelosi's desk.
His feet up for some
Just
reason.
taking a shit that's also in the shape of a hockey mat.
Well, that guy's dead behind him.
Yeah.
Actually, fun fact, that guy's in jail for 6 years.
I know, and it's so funny to me. It is one of the funniest things.
The find out phase of the fuck around and find out on January 6th has been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, like, anyway, I'm just going to put people on notice that if we're in bed together and we have both smoked weed and you go to get food, bring me back a quesadilla, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah, Jake!
Jake is very good about that.
That's why he's a keeper, Paige.
Yeah, you're married to him.
Yeah, duh.
I'm not going to just cook a stranger a quesadilla when I'm hungry.
I do love that you will fuck a stranger.
I know. I was like,
You won't make them a quesadilla?
man.
I don't know them. Making someone a quesadilla is like, that's like a relationship
Oh, yeah.
type thing.
Taco Bell makes quesadillas every day.
That's the implication. If I'm hand making a food
Exactly.
for someone,
And that place had a quesadilla maker. That absolutely, and that makes it so much easier.
It's way more sexual because instead of asking what toppings they like, you're asking what innings they like.
yeah, what do you want me to go do? Go back to bed and hold her hand like we're in some sort of like married relationship
Yeah.
or something?
Might be fucking nice. Instead of just leaving her there to be like, I'm hungry too.
All the letters you're gonna get from the ladies after this.
Sorry, bitch.
Like, I want that, man.
I do love that Mikey is saying all of this like the woman would actually still be at his house while he's cooking afterwards.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about this blanket that I've enjoyed watching him try to put on himself this entire time unsuccessfully.
This is me recording.
I don't trust you to wrap burritos with the way that you wrap that jacket.
It's
Blanket?
my comfort
It's a
recording
blanket.
blanket.
Half the time he's wearing it like a woman wearing a towel, but I can tell he's really excited if he's one shouldering it like it's a toga. Those are my stages
like
of Mikey.
I just sit here and I was like,
That's the toga. He just togaed up.
It's like the Mikey, if you guys ever have action figures, his should come with a blanket that you can move around.
no one knows
It's
about
fucking like
that.
Linus from Peanuts.
How sexy of a Fred Flintstone would I look like is basically what I'm going for.
All I'm saying is if you want a lady to stick around, make her a fucking quesadilla.
I would be like, I'm going to go make a quesadilla. And then I'd get in my car, go to my own house, and then make a quesadilla and never get back.
That's fair. That's all right.
And she's like, how far away do you live? And Mikey goes, you'll never know.
I'll just turn her microwave on for like 7 minutes and be like,
Put a bunch of silverware in there so the house explodes.
I'm not going to murder her.
Mikey does what Jason does at the end of this movie and explodes the house every time he leaves.
I'll get home, I'll drive home, and then I'll text, be like, oh, it's ready. Come get it out of the microwave.
Anyway, he goes to the kitchen to quesadilla for himself, like a selfish asshole.
Yes.
And Jason is in the corner, hereditary style. Just like,
I
He
know.
loves quesadillas.
Jason? Would be really is if the machete comes down and just
Yes.
cuts the quesadilla in half. Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Boom. Anyway, he gets stabbed in front of the refrigerator. Meanwhile, back at the forest, Nick and Tina double back to go back to the house, but the house is empty, but they get her father's old gun. And this is where they go through the desk and they find out that the doctor knew. That's why he had the metal stabby thing.
Yeah.
And they find a bunch of clippings about Jason. And she's just like, Jason Voorhees, this is clearly the man I brought up from the lake. And he's like, what? And then the whole room shakes and he's like,
who owns this dossier? Like, what is the point?
But also, he has no context to know she brought someone up from the lake. So he's like, wait, are you dating another man up here? Like, we've already kissed.
Yeah, like,
he is
what?
on a roller coaster, but he is strapped in and seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Who's taking photos of Jason, though, is what I always can't figure out. Like,
I know. Yeah, because no one ever believes anyone that Jason's there.
like and does he kill the photographers, but somehow the camera lives? I don't know.
Every time.
He's Peter Parkering himself.
I need these pictures of Jason's stab.
I got to sell these pictures to Jameson, or I won't have any money.
Well, how do you think he buys his gardening equipment?
J. Jonah James like, Voorhees, get your ass in here.
Voorhees. You sent me these pictures of Hockey Man, but they're blurry.
I love how they're called Hockey Man in that universe. That's amazing. Holy shit.
This is
that's
my favorite
amazing.
episode we've ever done. That hockey man looks just like a guy who was on January 6th inside the Capitol murdering countless people.
Voorhees, I sent you to Washington with a job to do.
Dude, honestly, Jason versus Democracy is shaping up really nice. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Think about this. The Q shaman stabs Jason with a spear. Just think about the imagery of that.
Or Jason stabs the Q shaman with the flag.
They stab
Hell
each
yeah.
other.
That would have been great. A nice little patriotic moment for everybody.
Anyway, back to this movie. So they get the gun. She shakes the room, and he's just like, holy shit, she's telekinetic. And you're like, that's what you took from this? Yeah. Like, you didn't go earthquake first. You were just like, she's doing
Yeah,
this.
he jumps on that real quick. He's like, oh, of course you're telekinetic. I mean, who isn't?
Yeah. We cut back to the cabin where Eddie is now opening Michael's birthday presents, but also one of my favorite parts is the cake is still out on the table, full of candles that have not been lit. So it's been there since the surprise party the night before, just like in the middle of a like trash pile. And it's mint green. All of it's I was like, that's clearly a fake cake, but I am enjoying this very much. He opens one of the presents and it's a personal penis enlarger and it's just a magnifying glass.
I did
That's
sort of
pretty
love
fun.
that. I thought that was very funny. Like, I like, I don't know, gag gifts make me laugh.
Yeah. Anyway, so she and Nick we cut back to them, and he's like, I can't leave you here alone. And she's like, just leave me here alone. And he's like, okay. But he wants to get everyone together so everyone can leave.
Yeah.
Little does he know they're all pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Except for Eddie, who just opened a boob mug, which is something I've wanted for a long time.
Oh.
I think they're very funny, personally. He gets machete-necked, like, immediately. Just like, done. The stoned girl gets up, hears a noise behind the door. Turns out to be a kitty cat.
Of course.
Which scared my cat.
Well, I mean, that was Kitty Jason. Did you not see that? He was wearing a little hockey mask, like on the kitty little face. It was so cute.
Had there been a cat in that house that whole weekend and nobody knew?
Yes.
This is the uncle's vacation cat.
That cat just fends for itself until the uncle comes back.
That cat literally like pays rent there. He's like a roommate.
Yeah. He pays rent because he's the one who's been dealing all the weed. That cat is heavy in with the cartel.
He's a cool cat.
Yeah, like Keanu. Anyway, so she puts the cat down and immediately like goes to open the door. David's head is there. Jason throws her out the window and she is insta-dead.
I love the throw out the window. It's amazing. Just how it transforms from like Robin into a man wearing what Robin was wearing with a black wig on, even though Robin's
Yes.
fully a redhead. I thought that was hilarious.
Yep. Well, and here's the thing. You know it's Robin when she first goes through the window, or at least you know that it's not a stunt man.
Yeah.
Or it is a stunt lady, I would assume. But then by the time it hits the ground, it is very clearly a stunt man.
Why does Robin have an Adam's apple? That's odd. I didn't notice that.
Anyway, he runs next door. Meanwhile, her mom and the therapist are still in the woods, and her mom is just like, Tina!
And the doctor's like, if you don't shut up, I'm going to get you killed by Jason.
Yeah. And lo and behold, Jason shows up, and he's like, human shield! Just like instantly. Take her instead.
It very much is, kill her, not me, kill her, not me. Like, that's the vibe.
Yeah.
Guys, you've heard of the phrase women and children first.
Dr. Bernie Lomax is always a gentleman.
I mean,
Yes.
we can't replace all the doctors, you know. It's
Yeah. It was just so her mom could confront her conflicting guilt feelings about machetes. Anyway, Tina, who has run away from the house and is now in the woods, runs into the doctor, and he's like, oh, your mom's back at the house. She's like, bullshit, why are you covered in blood? Mom, no! And he takes off because Jason's right behind them, but Jason chases him with the weed whacker that has a saw blade on it.
This shit's hilarious, too.
He gets saw bladed to death
Yes, he
after
does.
being punched. Yeah. But Tina's still in the woods. She sees Jason and is just like, oh, fuck. Meanwhile, she turns around and Jason has like decorated the forest around her with bodies. And because we couldn't remember any of the names, Jake and I were like, okay, Tits McGee, Maddie, the guy who severed face mouth moves,
Yeah.
Pussyface Jones, just like who are these people? But Jason comes after her and she sicks the trees on him, Evil Dead style.
Oh, she calls up the ants, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He falls in a puddle. She pulls a power line down and electrocutes him. He appears to be dead in the puddle, but then just sits right back
as
up.
we know from previous movies, electricity just brings him back.
Yeah, exactly. She runs back to the cabin. He just jumps in through the window.
yeah.
But like he's
great.
a hurdler, or like steeplechase. Like it's like both
Yeah,
legs.
yeah.
Like it's nothing to him. It's so great.
Well, and he's basically a skeleton at this point. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, we should have seen like shit falling off of him and stuff.
Would've been
I do
hilarious.
love that. Like they start with the oh thank God he's dead misdirects when he gets electrocuted. Like that's
Right.
when
Yeah.
they start the whole oh we finally killed him, and like there's like 20 minutes left of the movie.
Yeah, because once he gets into the house, she starts throwing stuff at him. She just like, Ottoman Empire. Just like nails him with the
is
Ottoman.
this where she throws the flower pot with the decapitated head in it? Which
Yes.
I had
Yes.
never noticed until this time when I watched it.
Oh, it's so
I
good.
just have in my notes, head butted.
And it doesn't even fall out of the pot. It stays in the pot.
He was a pothead.
It was his head. Mikey, it is his head.
See? You guys,
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
elevated film because
Yes.
Tina is levitating it.
Yeah, this is elevated horror. This is just
Yeah.
like the Babadook.
This is the only time that term is allowed.
Yeah, exactly. I do hate that term.
Oh, God. She runs out and tries to collapse the porch on him, but he comes back.
I mean, she does collapse the porch, and she does assume it killed him, but again, of course it didn't.
It didn't.
Yeah.
And Jason's like, yo, what's up? And she's like, he got my mom, but I killed him. No, you didn't. He's up. They end up back in the house with Melissa. And Melissa...
wait. I have to go back because in the scene where she like is hugging not David, I don't know the guy,
Nick.
Nick, thank you.
It's Nick.
Yeah, like they're like hugging and she's like, she killed my mom, but I killed him. You see Melissa also in the shot and she like on her face looks like, well, he's never going to fuck me now. You killed the murderer.
She's like, touche.
Her whole next thing is basically like, oh, this girl's sad, so you're gonna fuck the sad girl because you care about, like, as if she's doing all this for attention.
I know,
which
right?
Is so
come
crazy.
on. Tina brought Jason back for attention.
She's like, I really want Nick to notice me. Maybe if I release a murderer from Crystal Lake.
Yep, it'll make him
Well,
jealous.
what did she think was going to happen when she released her dad from Crystal Lake?
That's a different kind of kink.
Yeah, that is different. Anyway, Melissa's just like, you bitch, and Jason just immediately axes her to the head, like, and it's very satisfying.
Yeah, because she like starts like telling them off for no reason. I think that she is under the assumption that everyone else is just hiding, maybe
Faking
like,
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's like, I'm going back to bed. Wanna come? Yeah.
There's
Just
a guy's
immediately.
head in a flower pot on the floor next to
I
him.
know.
So you guys are full of shit.
She's like, oh, this is so dumb. What, you guys go to Party City?
I'm going to go back and write my autobiography. Me. So she gets axed in the head.
Oh, yeah.
He throws Nick against the wall. Nick is now unconscious. They run upstairs. They smash him with a light fixture that kind of crashes him down through the stairs. They run back downstairs, and he just like Kool-Aid Mans through a wall.
Out from under the stairs, just like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah. He killed Harry Potter before he came out.
So he throws Nick. So Nick is out of commission. So now Tina has to actually be the hero of the movie.
I'm sorry, can I explain something that's like in my head right now? It's like when he gets his Hogwarts letter and he just like busts through the door under the stairs.
Oh my God.
And he's like, oh yeah. But that like combines like three things in my mind to make that joke, and I couldn't not think it. I'm so sorry.
Well, Todd, that reminds me of my favorite part of Jason Takes Manhattan. Is when Jason is standing in a window holding his machete, and it zooms out, and it keeps zooming out, and he's in the World Trade Center.
And then somebody on
You
the
son of a
chalkboard
bitch.
is like, September 11th, 2001, Pierce Brosnan did it. Like that's,
Wow. Okay.
I didn't think we were going to get a Remember Me call
That's
back
right,
in
though.
this
Based
movie,
on
but-
the timeline, Jason Takes Manhattan is post 9/11.
Well, I mean, fun fact, he was on one of the planes because they didn't limit blade size at the time.
Why do you think that one went down in like rural Pennsylvania?
It's the first time they ever let Jason speak. He was like, let's roll. Or like Jason in a Die Hard. Like, think about how fun Violent Night was. Now make it Jason.
Jason versus Santa Claus. A machete versus a like Norse hammer. Let's go, Paige.
Naughty!
Elon Musk could have made all of those movies instead of buying Twitter.
He could have made them each for what James Cameron is paying for all of the avatars. And it still would have not have been close to what he paid for Twitter.
Think about Jason versus Santa with a $600 million budget.
Oh, God. Anyway, back to this movie. Back in from a 20-minute diversion in which we laughed about Remember Me. She, like, force squeezes his mask around his head till it pops off, and we see his creepy zombie face. And then tries to strangle him with electrical cord and drops him into the basement.
He looks like the Toxic Avenger.
Or that one zombie in Return of the Living Dead, the like...
The one that was in the
villain.
canister. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why she dropped him. I guess she couldn't concentrate enough to keep him up there. I don't know, because like that fall, clearly, it wasn't even that far of a fall. Like,
Well, sometimes if you over concentrate, you also can't keep him up, you know?
I've never experienced this.
she was getting a migraine.
Yeah, she was getting just... Now
Oh, holy
stare
shit.
harder.
That's terrible. I get migraines. I feel very bad for her. That's terrible. I shouldn't make fun of that.
Yeah, no, it's... I gave myself a headache singing Celine Dion at karaoke a couple weeks ago, and I do not envy her because that was brutal also. Anyway, he wakes up and she is like throwing nails at him, throwing anything she can find in the garage or the basement, douses him in gasoline, and then just fucking lights it from the boiler.
Yeah.
And comes upstairs. Nick wakes up, meets her down in the basement, and they're like, we gotta fucking go. They run, and then there's a long shot of Jason on fire looking like, okay, hear me out. Have you ever seen someone who's like about, I'm sorry, about to start breakdancing?
Paige, this is such an accurate but wild example, but you're right.
Even as I was saying it, I was like, this is really dumb, but it is exactly like the moves people make before they do the cool shit. Yeah.
That'd be great if you read Kane Otter's autobiography. It's like, what I took my inspiration from was Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I was really mad that they cut out the scene where Jason broke dance with fire.
He would not come back unless they let him at least film the scene with fire.
He did do all his own stunts, so that's like a thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But so did, I think a lot of them did.
Yeah, a lot of them did because they had no money.
Yeah, well, and like
for
Ted White was
performance.
the stunt man. He used the final chapter.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and also, like, they don't talk. So, yeah, just hire a big, bulky stuntman. You're fine.
Yeah, and I think Kane
Yeah.
does bring a little more to the table, maybe, but it's just, I don't know.
Oh, I think he turns in an Oscar-worthy performance here. Yeah, I think we're all saying it. Yeah. I mean, this performance is like on the level as Toni Collette in Hereditary. Like, in
Yeah,
my mind.
exactly.
Fuck yeah.
Exactly.
If
Yeah.
it was like 1919, he would have been like Charlie Chaplin.
But that's only because when the mask rips off his face, he would have had a mustache that later went very out of fashion.
Yeah, viral for the worst reasons. Anyway, so they run out of the house, and then it like full explodes like a mushroom cloud. Like there was a nuke inside that house.
What we didn't know is that uncle was like toying around with a fusion reactor heating and cooling system.
Her uncle was Jack Parsons. Yeah,
That's where the Manhattan Project was first tested. They were
yeah. It just craters where the house was.
because they're in Jersey, right? So
I think they are in Jersey canonically for the films, although there is a Camp Crystal Lake in California, like drivable from where I'm at. But
I know, like that diner and stuff. Like the first movie was shot there, I guess. So I guess that's why people have just decided, but they never actually say where they are. So
yeah, it's true. It's just Crystal Lake. But
yeah.
anyway, he's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Everything's gone," because cratered her whole house. And he's like, "It's okay." But then Jason is somehow right next to them, and he did not notice, and he somehow teleported out of the explosion.
Like if anything, you would smell that. I mean,
yes.
I mean, it's like just dripping with algae and shit. Like you would absolutely. And he's half burnt. I mean, there'd be a lot of stuff to smell.
They've run out to the dock, and he's on the lake side. So he somehow walked past them and turned around.
And I like how running towards water makes the most sense. Like, let's do that. Where, well, now we can't go anywhere. Shit.
Oh, well. Anyway, he throws Nick out of the way, and he goes after Tina, and she like thinks really hard and who should pop out from under the docks to take down Jason but her zombie father, who strangles Jason and drags him back down. But the firefighters show up. They find the hockey mask. They take them away on a stretcher in a shared ambulance.
Oh, yeah. It's really romantic because the ambulance is shaped like a hearse.
And then they both went to prison because nobody believed in any of this story. And there's like 20 dead bodies.
It's kind of like The Notebook, where they're just in hospital beds at the end.
That's like what I was thinking the whole time.
Like most ambulances, if you like, that's American healthcare, right? Like if you want to split the price, you can go like on a double ambulance.
Yeah, I always
nice.
use ambulance pool when I have to go to the hospital.
And
that's the
That's
movie.
the
movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what do you guys think about Friday the 13th Part 7?
Second best movie of the 80s.
And to clarify, what was the first best movie of the 80s?
Part 5.
Yep. Okay. I honestly enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I probably will never watch it again unless you guys make me, but like it's not a bad movie. I mean, it's a bad movie, but because it's a bad
was gonna
movie, it's so
It's
watchable.
watchable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like I bet it's more fun to watch it a second time and not really pay attention to it, but like, you know, like work on something. Like just have it on in the background. Yeah.
That's kind of how I watch 6 most of the time.
Yeah.
I think it's watchable. It's my least favorite, I think, of the Paramount ones. Part 5 is in that conversation too. Sorry, Mikey, but of the first, but part
Not
5
the
is
best
just
movie
so
of
more
the
batshit
80s.
than this. I think I still enjoy that more. Like part 5 is like if you could capture cocaine on film.
That's my kind of movie.
But yeah, I don't know. This was kind of dull. Not that I've loved a lot of the other characters from the other films, but like these people are despicable. I don't even really like Tina that much.
Do you think if they kept the extended kills, the very gory kills, that it would elevate it into one of your favorites?
No, I don't. The kills don't really. That doesn't really factor into what I like. I've never been like a kills guy as far as horror goes. But I do. But I still do enjoy these movies. So that's a box I probably need to unwrap with a therapist one of these days. Maybe Bernie can help me figure that shit out and make me an X-Man. It's okay though. Like it's not the worst in the series by any means. I just think it's my least favorite of the Paramount ones. But it's okay. It's definitely fun to talk about for sure.
It definitely is. Yeah.
After we talk about these, I feel like I love them. I come in like I hated this, but then I'm like, no, it's pretty good.
This is a franchise for friends, right? Like if you get together with a few people and throw this on and have a couple of beers and like put a burger on and like.
That's a really good way to put it. It's like a friend franchise that you want to share with people.
I don't think this is the one I'm choosing, though.
Yeah, they're weirder ones. They're like worse ones.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
I would 100% watch like the full Friday the 13th marathon.
That would take 5 years, Mikey. But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts.
Machete
Jason, fun facts.
So during filming, Kate Hodder's dressing room was actually a quarter of a mile down a dirt road from the set.
They fucking hated him.
The budget was terrible. But one night filming ended at 2 a.m. and he just walked back to his dressing room in costume. And as he was walking, he encountered a man in the woods who was like, "Oh, are you with the movie?" And he thought it was such a stupid question because he was dressed as Jason that he just like lunged at the guy and the guy took off running. And then the next day, the director's like, "Hey, it's the weirdest thing. The sheriff was supposed to stop by last night, but he never showed up." And so they think
my
that's
God.
who he's scared.
All right, now Kane's my favorite.
All right. So Carrie Noonan, who actually played Paula in part 6, read for the role of Tina because this movie was casting under the name Birthday Bash. And she almost got the role, but unfortunately had to tell them that she had been the lead in the last movie, so they could not cast her because apparently no one involved in this movie kept track.
Was she the one in the part 6? Was she the one that we don't see her get killed, but the room is just like all blood?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, or it's like 4 people's
Yeah.
worth of blood. If it wasn't weird enough that happened once, Marta Kober, who played Sandra in Friday the 13th Part 2, was also offered a role in this movie and then realized what movie it was and had to tell them she had already been in part 2 and died, so she had to be replaced.
That's awesome.
Have Tina bring all these people back to life. How many dead people are in that lake? Like 400 people.
That's true.
I can't believe, I will say real quick, I can't believe, Mikey, I have never once thought of how weird it was that he would still be in the lake. Like, that has never even crossed my mind. But that is fucking insane. Like, nobody pulled him out of the lake. They just took their
Nobody
word
did.
for it. No, he totally drowned.
They never reported it. He just disappeared. He went out for cigarettes and never came back. So they also tried to cast a woman named Paula Irvine to play Tina because she was 19 years old at the time. They thought it fit. Unfortunately, she had to turn it down because she had already been cast in Phantasm 2.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Can't wait.
I cannot wait for us to do that.
So the reason John Carl Buechler, I think is how you say his last name, I don't know. The reason he cast Kane Hodder, because this is Kane Hodder's first, was because he saw him eat live worms on the set of the movie Prison in 1987. So he pushed for Paramount Pictures to let him cast Kane Hodder, but Paramount really wanted to cast C.J. Graham again. And so he had to fight the studio and wins, and that's how Kane Hodder becomes Jason.
Nice.
Now, this movie is the most edited Friday the 13th. he had to submit the film 9 different times, 9
What?
different cuts
Good
to the
Lord.
MPAA, which fuck the MPAA for
Yeah.
sure. But they wanted to give it an X rating, and it took 9 submissions for them to bring it down to R. But that is
Jesus.
partially why this movie is colloquially named sometimes Friday the 13th, the No Blood instead of the New Blood.
And even
Yeah.
with all the blood, this wouldn't have been anywhere near what like a Saw sequel is. And it's just crazy
Yeah,
now.
right?
Like I
Right.
would totally show my
Yeah.
daughter this movie.
Oh, they're like, you could straight up see into that woman's vagina. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine, but no blood. Yeah. The last one had like 4 people worth of blood on that one girl. But
Crazy.
anyway, so the mask in this film was cast from the same mold as the mask in part 3 and then slightly modified. However, the edges of the mask were trimmed down to make it smaller to allow more of Kane Hodder's face to be seen around it, especially because they knew they were going to take the mask off.
Interesting.
As we kind of mentioned earlier, Lar Park Lincoln and Kevin Spirtus did not get along while making this movie, despite playing love interests. In fact, he disliked her so much that, according to him in an interview, he wrote his own script for part 8 where this was only a dream and that his character had killed Tina. That does not get used. Tina does not continue in any films.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
No, but when you see the final girl in Friday the 13th Part 8, you're going to wish Tina still was in it.
That's true. The next one is wild. Now, in a newer commentary track, they actually have commented, and they've publicly talked about this, that while they didn't get along on set, they ended up going to a ton of conventions together for this movie, and they then became extremely good friends, and they now like go out to dinner, hang out together. He's like kind of like he sang for her daughter when she took the crown for Miss Texas. Like
Her daughter
it's
was Miss
wild.
Texas?
Yes, her daughter was Miss Texas at one point. And now they kind of think it's funny that they didn't get along because they are very, very close friends, which is interesting.
Awesome.
So originally, the intention was for Tina to become kind of the new Tommy Jarvis and for her to have her own 3 movies. But after this film, they were like, no, thank you. And that idea was shelved.
Well, Paramount didn't really want to make the movies anymore. I'm surprised Part 8 even got made.
Yeah, well, and it's such a bonkers
Yeah.
script for part 8. So like, this is the last one to use footage from previous films, and it's all in that opening sequence.
Yeah.
They don't really do this again after that. So Susan Sullivan, who plays Melissa, everyone loved her. And she apparently off screen was like kind and humble and sweet to everybody. And when they made the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, they looked her up and found a woman with the same name who had passed away. So they didn't invite her to do the documentary and told
no.
everyone in the documentary that she was dead. So everyone in the documentary was like, she was so sweet. It's so sad that she's dead. But in 2009, turns out, like when they were like looking for her in 2009, found the wrong woman. It has since come out. She is still alive and well in Southern California.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So she
She just came right out of that lake.
yeah, just raised out of it like that Evil Dead Rise trailer. When she auditioned for this movie, she didn't know it was a horror movie until she basically like got to set. It was just like, oh,
Like, what scene did they give her, though? Like, I'm trying to figure out, like...
I don't know. I think it must have been the one at the party where she's like
Oh,
trying to
well,
make
that's
people
true.
jealous
Yeah,
or
they're
something
just-
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was called Birthday Bash, right? That's what they were calling
Right.
it.
Yeah.
They didn't do the David Bowie song title this time.
Right. So this film was originally intended to be the first Freddy versus Jason, as we talked about. But
Yeah.
Paramount at the time had the rights to Friday the 13th, and New Line had the rights to Nightmare on Elm Street, and they could not agree. So the script was rewritten to basically be a Carrie prototype because they also could not get the rights to Carrie. The original writer, a man named Daryl Haney, was fired after his agent contacted the executive producer of the film and demanded more money because he kept having to rewrite the script. However, Haney didn't know his agent did this. The agent went behind his back.
Okay.
And so after the agent, like, he needs more money, the film just fired him and hired a second unknown writer who is credited as Manuel Fidelio, but like no one knows like that. It's like
That's
his
a fake
only
name.
credit, basically. I think it's a fake name.
yeah.
Yeah. Basically Alan Smithy, I think.
Yeah.
But so he got fired because his agent was wilding on the side.
That sucks.
So part 6 came out in August of 86, and Paramount then spent months of 1987 negotiating with New Line, and once that failed, they had to rewrite the screenplay by June of 87. But they threw that draft out sometime in the fall. Then they had to rewrite. So they didn't start pre-production until December of 87.
Holy crap.
They had to prep, cast, shoot, edit, and score the film in 5 months to get to release. And they do it.
Yeah, and honestly, it seems like they did it in 5 months.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's like picturing like Sissy Spacek in this movie. Not that they
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have gotten her, but God, that would be awesome.
No, she was considerably older at the time too. It was, not counting the opening narration, Jason isn't mentioned by name until 58 minutes into this movie.
Tina just says his name, right? I think.
Yeah, she's the only one.
I think it's after she sees the dossier, so it sort of
Yeah.
makes sense. But yeah, she's the only one that says it.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody has any clue who he is, and
Yeah.
I guess they're not alive long enough once they see him.
Nope. So 1988, when this movie actually hits theaters, is the first year in which all 3 of the top horror franchises, Halloween, Friday, and Nightmare, all released new films the same year.
Nice.
So Friday the 13th, 7, New Blood, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Master, which is the one we just did.
Yeah.
That's the last Nightmare we did.
Highest grossing slasher film of the 80s, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, that one's pretty fun. That's a fun one.
I like 4. It's grown on me a lot.
3 is way more singable.
Yes.
Yes.
Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, which is the one after 3 where they bring Michael back because everyone was mad about 3, even though hindsight's 2020, 3 is great.
Yeah.
And the first Child's Play film was released that year.
Wow,
As
okay.
was Hellraiser 2, so Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, and Phantasm 2, all of which would actually do pretty well that year and become franchises.
Nice. So 88 was a good year for horror, it sounds like.
88 was, it's a good year for slashers, I would say.
Okay.
And it was the last good year for slashers until Scream came out like 8 years later.
To be honest, yeah. So in this movie, they have Pepsi product placement, but this is the only movie in the series to do so. Every other Friday the 13th movie has had Coca-Cola placement.
Oh, wow.
Except for Jason X. Jason X is the only one that doesn't because space in the future.
This does feel like a Pepsi version of Friday the 13th. So, like, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Elizabeth Catan was voted number 3 on the list of the top 12 boobs of the Friday the 13th franchise
Okay.
in 2015.
Is that Robin?
I believe it is Robin, yeah.
It's a very prestigious award.
Only 12 other people got, but 24 boobs.
Wait, do they award it to the individual boob?
No.
Okay.
We got to talk about Barbara Sachs. So Barbara Sachs produced this film.
Okay.
This was the first film she ever produced. And according to the screenwriter, she kept giving him notes, and she had some very non-Friday the 13th ideas about how this movie should go. First and foremost, she was a huge fan of Jaws. So her proposed story was that there was a corporate guy building condos at Crystal Lake, which honestly does not sound terrible.
No, I actually sort of like that. Like they're like revitalizing that Crystal Lake area. Yeah.
Yes.
That would be cool.
That'd be a good modern one.
That'd be a good modern one. Everyone in the community is like, you can't because of all the deaths. And they were like, we don't care. We just want money.
They didn't move the bodies, which we learn in this
They
movie.
didn't.
They're in
They're in
a
the lake. They didn't clear the lake.
Friday the 13th gentrification.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Cry Lake.
Yeah. At the end of the movie, she wanted Tina to be in a helicopter fighting Jason. Like, she wanted it to be like some huge action set piece. She went on record as saying that she wanted this to be the most prestigious Friday the 13th film yet, and she intended for it to win Academy Awards, and she tried to get Federico Fellini to direct it. She did not. None of that happened.
Oh my God. I want that movie so bad.
That'd be so wild. Now, she kind of clashed with the director, who basically says that he had his own ideas for the film, and she kept stepping on them. He wanted to show Jason unmasked for more of the movie.
Okay.
And she vetoed that idea, but he ended up filming it anyway, so they had to use it.
Okay.
Also, he wanted the final sequence with Tina's father coming out of the water to be more elaborate and feature full prosthetics and a life-size dummy. So I do think that maybe he looked more seaworthy or whatever. However, she completely overruled that and they didn't get the budget for it. So he says that it's an inferior version of the idea. But in his version, it is the dead body.
Seaworthy is an apt description for sort of how Kane Hodder looks as Jason in this movie, because it looks like he stole gold from like the dead man's chest or whatever in
David Jones.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking about Fellini's Friday the 13th. I really want that now.
Right?
From the director of 8.5. And there's just like all these clowns.
Crazy.
Nobody knows why they're there. They're just, Fellini jokes. I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy this.
Hey, they enjoyed our "It's a Me, Werner Herzog" jokes a couple weeks ago. So, this film actually set a record for the longest uninterrupted on-screen controlled burn in a Hollywood film. And in order to do that, Kane Hodder was actually on fire for 40 seconds. So, credit where credit is due. It's
he's an amazing stuntman.
Yeah. So, Kane Hodder has said multiple times in a few different places that he had a lot of trouble with the sleeping bag kill, which is a fan favorite. Like, people love it.
Yeah.
In one interview, he said that it weighed almost 95 pounds.
Oh,
and to get it to to pick it up and swing it, because it had like a full dummy in it.
Sure, yeah.
And the dummy was heavy. And so to it actually pick it up and swing it to where it looks like it could kill her, he couldn't do it. But by the final take, he was so exhausted and mad that it wasn't looking the way he wanted that after he hit the pole, he kicked the bag as he dropped it. And this is the shot that appears in the final film.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So, those are your fun facts. There's a million more fun facts.
Yeah, there are tons.
Obviously, there's tons. Go find them on your own. But those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. What do you think the production budget was for Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood? And again, 1988.
Like $17?
I'm going to say 700,000.
Okay.
I'd
Oh,
say
no.
like 2.5 million.
Okay.
I'm going to say 4 million.
Okay. So the budget in 1988 was $2.8 million.
Yeah.
If you adjust for inflation, that's just over $7 million today.
That seems appropriate.
I want to point out that Invisible Man
Oh, yeah. It was $7 million. And it's fucking
to
amazing.
make.
Wow.
And that movie is so good compared to this. Okay, anyway. So this movie premiered on May 13th, 1988. It was number 1 at the box office, probably because it got all that calendar buzz. But it beat Colors, which was in its 5th week. Beetlejuice was number 3. That was in its 7th week. Shakedown was number 4. And Salsa was number 5. What do you think Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, made in its opening weekend?
Like 8 million.
Okay.
I'm going to say like
2.
3.
Okay. Jonathan was closer. It's $8.2 million.
Oh, nice.
It was only in the theaters for 4 weeks. But do you want to guess what it made total at the box office?
It wasn't a lot. It was like maybe 17 or something total.
I mean, on a $2.9 million investment, it's not bad.
Well, I know, but it wasn't like the other ones were making like,
Yeah,
30 and 40 million before Part 6, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jonathan, you're super close. It was $19.1 million, which if you adjust for inflation, that's roughly $47 million today. But it did make money, just not a ton of money. But I mean, enough
Yeah.
for them to make 5 more, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, Paramount only makes one more, then
Oh,
New
okay.
Line picks it up and they do their
Okay.
thing with it.
And that's how we get Freddy versus Jason. Because
Eventually,
they already
yeah.
had Freddy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But that is your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Yeah, scary scale, listeners, is a scale of 1 to 10 of how scary we found the film today. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Paige,
Oh, this is a 1.
Yeah, it's a 1 for me as well.
Jonathan.
I mean, yeah, I don't even remember like 12-year-old me being scared by it. So yeah, it's definitely a 1.
Yeah, I'm also giving it a 1. And that's our scary
Yeah.
scale.
So we already talked about what movie we're doing next Monday, right? Because we talked about that on Monday's episode. This is a special drop. So like
I don't know.
next,
You
yeah.
could tell
Well,
me.
Jonathan, we're doing The Thing next Monday. So
Oh,
yeah, we're revisiting The Thing. But so that'll be in your feed on Monday. But yeah, Jonathan, thank you so much for guesting, or so I should say, hosting with us.
Always good to see
on
you.
our continued saga of the Friday the 13th franchise. Can you tell people where they can get more of you and what you do?
I'm on, I work for a company that everyone loves and is very nice to us about called Cinema Sins. And yeah, we've got a YouTube channel. We got Cinema Sins, TV Sins, and Commercial Sins. We basically Monday through Friday, we've got a video from one of them dropping.
It's pretty much like content every day.
Yeah, pretty much. We're doing Saturdays. We were doing like some retrospective ones on Saturdays for the leading through to Christmas. So yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff over there. I am on Twitter at SamLoomis13. You can also find me on Letterboxd. I think it's just my name, but my Letterboxd handle is also on my Twitter account, my Twitter, whatever you call that.
Yeah.
Twitter description. And we kind of changed up the format, but I do occasionally appear on a podcast called Behind the Sins.
Yeah.
We have a couple other podcasts that I'm not directly involved with on our network, but one is called Recotopia, which is really fun. That's from the founders of Cinema Sins, Chris Atkinson and Jeremy Scott.
Yeah.
And then we also have a Star Trek podcast with Ian Whittington and Danae Hughes that is called Captain's Pod. So a lot of fun stuff going on. Enjoy. Check it out.
Awesome.
Dude, I'm horrible at promoting shit, by the way. I'm like...
Keep that in.
So, guys, if you like this show but want to hear this power throuple on another movie review show about romance and romantic comedies, check out Romancing the Pod, where Mikey, Paige, and I break down and make fun of romantic movies. It's a lot of fun, guys. Check it out. If you want to follow us on social, please do. We are at Horror Virgin or online at horrorvirgin.com. If you want to follow us all individually, you can do that as well. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Twitter, or Rampage Wesley everywhere else, including TikTok. Mikey is at mrandolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome. If you like the show so much and you want to help financially support it, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where you can get a lot of great levels and a lot of great stuff like bonus episodes, director's cut episodes where they're a little bit longer and you get them actually a day earlier than the regular feed drop. We do a lot of great things like listener requests and stuff like that. So guys, check out the Patreon and help support the show.
If you want to financially support me, but not Todd, just look me up on Venmo.
If you can't financially support the show, that's understandable. That's fine. But if you want to hang out with us on the daily, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/horrorvirgin. We also link it like once a week, so just find it there and join the awesome Facebook group. Literally, we're in there talking every day. It's awesome. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out our Twitch stream, we're at twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, where we will be playing horror video games. So if you have always wondered what it would be like to watch me get scared, you can now do that on Twitch while I play these horror games. It's twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, guys. Check it out. It's a lot of fun for you. Not a lot of fun for me. And if you haven't noticed, since October 1st, we have been running the new Horror Virgin blog. And when I say we, I really mean Katie from the Facebook group. She's been running everything. She's like the managing editor of the Horror Virgin blog. So if you haven't been to our Horror Virgin blog, go check it out. It's at horrorvirgin.com/blog. You'll see it. It's awesome. There's a lot of great articles. I mean, at the end of October, we have 31 awesome articles up, and they will continue after October, not on a daily schedule, though. That's just too much for Katie to handle. But check out our awesome Horror Virgin blog up now.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your Horror Virgin, Todd.
I'm Jonathan.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Have a great weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it's starting the weekend. Bye.
Oh, yeah. It's Friday the 13th. How did I forget that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hope you're not a Templar in the 1300 nerds.